prior to the date on which the matter shall be heard. It doesn't show up on the docket immediately when you file those. And my JA Donna is not going to give me your proposed order for continuance until the motion shows up, because I want to read it. Some of those I say you didn't give me a reason for it. Some of those you say the state didn't agree to the continuance. So just be mindful of that. I very well may start strictly enforcing that rule as far as the 4 days, 4 business days before the hearing date. Mr. Klein, the client that you have that has the Portuguese interpreter,
Yes, sir.
If you'll let me know when you're ready for that, then we can get that interpreter out of here.
Yes, sir. Let me talk to Ms. Rivera, and I know she's not the interpreter.
The interpreter is present via Zoom, Your Honor. Good morning.
Okay, good morning.
Mr. Cassiano de Souza is in custody. That's the woman.
Okay, so we're gonna have to wait until the jail can get him.
That's correct, Your Honor. I'll text my assistant and see if we can call the jail and see if someone's in so we can get my interpreter coming out here.
Okay.
And on that specific case, I did not see that person on the transport list. So if you could contact the jail and advise them you need him on the list. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So Abdullah, you're first?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, ma'am.
On behalf of Mr. Albert Vasquez Cervantes, 2022 CF000419. And Your Honor, I do apologize. I didn't do the 4-day business motion to continue, but we do ask for a continuance, and I've told the state that I need another continuance for health reasons.
For health reasons?
Yes, sir.
Okay. To the
And
state?
We have no objection to that.
I do apologize, Your Honor.
Mr. Cervantes, do you agree to the continuance?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I'll see you back here on the next pretrial conference is March 13th at 9 o'clock. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank
and I
you.
do apologize to the court.
No,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Your Honor, if I'm bouncing in and out of the courtroom and you see the jail pop up, I just asked her to see if we can get Mr. De Souza on as soon as possible.
Okay.
So if I'm out in the hall, you can have the papers come in.
You just let me know when you're ready.
Well, I'm just saying, if I'm not in the room and you're ready to go.
Okay.
Sir.
Ms. Herndon.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
I have Percy Williams, who is present and hopefully approaching. If I may approach, Your Honor,
Yes, ma'am.
I have a written plea as well as this question.
Thank you.
Your Honor, Ashley Herndon on behalf of Percy Williams in 22 CF 868. At this time, Mr. Williams would withdraw his previously entered plea of not guilty and tender a plea of no contest as charged. The understanding is on count 1, he will be adjudicated, sentenced to 3 years of drug offender probation. A curfew will be assessed from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., which is adjustable based upon work purposes. He'll be assessed standard court cost, undergo a substance abuse evaluation and treatment if recommended, undergo random urinalysis, 30 hours of community service work, and there is a cost of investigation to the Niceville Police Department in the amount of $223.10. Count 2 will be 3 years of drug offender probation to run concurrently with count 1. Count 3 is a misdemeanor, and that will be credit for time served, and this is an agreed upon downward departure with the state.
Thank you, ma'am. Is that the state's agreement?
Yes, Judge.
Mr. Williams, if you'll raise your right hand, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Williams, did you read the plea agreement?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand it?
Yes, sir.
Did you discuss it with your attorney?
Yes, sir.
Did she answer all of your questions?
She did.
Are you satisfied with the representation?
I am.
Did you sign the plea agreement?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Williams, I do accept your plea. You're adjudicated guilty. You're sentenced on count 1 to 3 years drug offender probation. That's also on count 2. Those would run concurrently, run at the same time. On count 1, well, in both of those counts, you'll have a curfew from 7. The curfew is from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
I think it starts at PM to AM.
I would
Yes.
think so.
Yes, did I write that
Yes, ma'am.
erroneously? I apologize.
Okay, so the curfew is from 7 PM to 7 AM?
Yes,
Probation can adjust that based upon your work schedule. All monetary assessments mandated by statute or county ordinance are imposed. That's the court cost. You'll need to submit to a substance abuse evaluation within 30 days from today. If any treatment's recommended, begin that within 60 days from today. You'll need to submit to random urinalysis, perform 30 hours of community service work. You'll need to pay the cost of investigation to the Niceville Police Department of $223.10. Count 3, you're sentenced to credit for time served, and this is an agreed upon downward departure. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Williams, this way, please.
Thank you, sir. That's all I have, if I may be excused.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Hunter. Mr. Durrell.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Durrell.
Your Honor, I have State versus Edward Thornburg. There is a waiver of his appearance. Judge, we've got the first round of depositions set. I think the next week or within the next 10, 15 days. So we would need to continue the matter.
Any objection from the state?
No, Judge.
Mr. Thornburg's case is continued until March 13th at 9 o'clock.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Good seeing you, Mr. Durrell.
Thank you.
The other Mr. Durrell.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court, Dustin Durrell. Your Honor, first case I have today is Ms. Adeline Lopez. It's 22 CF 1595. Your Honor, I'd like to leave Ms. Lopez set without subpoenas. We've got a DPA, we just need signatures on it. She should fall off as soon as we get everything signed and filed.
Okay. So if she isn't accepted into that or doesn't fulfill the paperwork, then I'll see her on docket day, which is January 17th at 9 o'clock.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, next I have Mr. Aaron Mann. Your Honor, I've been in discussions with the state. I believe I have a motion to suppress. I'll be filing if I may have a continuance to get that prepared.
Okay. And Mr., you have waivers for all of your clients?
Yes, Your Honor, I have waivers on file for everybody.
Yes, sir. So it's continued until March 13th, but I'll see you at the motion hearing before then.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, next I have Lenore Minardo, 22 CF 1232. I need to get depositions rescheduled on Mr. Minardo. The last depots had to be canceled. The deponents called in sick, Your Honor.
Okay.
If I may have a continuance for...
Yes, sir. It's continued.
Thank you. Your Honor, same with the next one, Mr. Aaron Nano. We had some of the depositions, some officers were not available, and again, one of the other deponents had to call in sick. If I may have a continuance to reschedule those.
Yes, sir, and just know that the court's here if you need me for an order or an order to show cause.
Yes, Your Honor. Next, Your Honor, I have Mr. Robert Price, 22 CF 1290. I would like to leave him set with subpoenas, Your Honor.
Okay. So it's scheduled for January 17th, and we'll be looking at going to trial on January 19th.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, next I have Mr. Tyler Stewart. Your Honor, I believe this is going to, I believe this will result in a DPA. There's a matter of restitution Ms. Davis and I were speaking about. If we may announce restitution to the clerk today to go ahead and get that assessed so he can start getting that paid. It will be $500 to a Miss Brenda K. Murphy, and that address is 430 Benning Drive, Destin, Florida, 32541. There is also a $250 to a Future Services Incorporated, and that address is 801 Garmin Park Court, Garmon, Loganville, Georgia, 30052.
So does the state stipulate the $250 restitution and the $500 restitution?
Yes, Judge.
So Madam Clerk, if you'll put that on the minutes?
Yes, it is $500 to Brenda K. Murphy, 430 Benning Drive, Destin, Florida, 32541. $250 to Future Services Incorporated, 801 Garmin Park Court, Garmon, Loganville, Georgia, 30052. And as far as the case itself, Your Honor, I don't know how long that's going to take to get processed. He's said he's ready to pay it, so I don't know if it'd be better to just, we can have a continuance and then we'll get the DPA filed and it should just fall off that way as opposed to trying to come back on the 17th.
Yes, sir. It's continued.
Thank you, Your Honor. And Your Honor, my last case for today is a Mr. Joshua Wilberscheid, 22 CF 2589. I'd like to leave him set without subpoenas in anticipation of a plea, Your Honor.
Okay. So I'll see you on docket day on that one. I also show, oh, that was your day. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. I
Thank
believe
you.
that's all I have.
Thanks, Mr. Draw.
Thank you.
Mr. Flowers.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, sir.
Since the first matter is Adam McCraney. Your Honor, we're asking that this matter be continued for one final time.
Okay, and what are you going to
Speaking with the
do?
state, they are not going to object, is my understanding.
No objection, Your Honor.
So what are you going to do over the next 2 months during this continuance?
Candidly, try to figure out how to win. But, Your Honor, discovery, I've not set the depositions that I need to set. That's on me, Your Honor, frankly. I'm not trying to evade your question, Your Honor. That's what we're going to do.
Okay, so what I'm putting down is the continuance is granted because you're going to do depositions and discovery.
Yes,
and then
sir.
it's trial next time, so we'll be looking at going to trial.
Or another disposition, but we're not going to seek to delay the matter.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay?
The
Yes.
next matter is Michael, and it's Mitchell, but it's McGahee, Mulholland, Mitchell. It's the next matter on the docket. Your Honor, we're asking that remains set for trial. We believe that it will either be disposed of by a plea or a trial, but it doesn't need to go any further, Judge.
Good. Okay, so I'll see you on docket day for that,
Yes, sir.
which is January 17th.
Yes, sir. The final matter I have is Burley White, and he's present, Your Honor. We would ask that you allow us to...
Mr. White, come on up. Thank you, sir. God bless you.
We hope to resolve the matter on docket day on the 17th with the court's permission, but there does not need to be any witnesses subpoenaed for a trial.
Okay. So,
Mr. White stayed in touch with me. We anticipate we'll be able to resolve the matter that day. We don't have a resolution today.
so plea trial?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. White, I'll see you back here on January 17th. If it's not resolved then we'll be going to trial on January 19th. Okay.
Your Honor, that's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Dyer? Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Your Honor. Your Honor, my first case on the docket, Ricky Dyram on behalf of Garrett Hamilton, 21 CF 2902. There is a waiver on file. Judge, if we could leave Mr. Hamilton plea or continue for docket day, I think we might have a plea on that day.
Okay, so you're saying, is it plea or trial?
I'd ask to leave it on plea to continue. There was an offer that I received from ASA Reed 2 cycles ago, but her file does not indicate that offer, so we'd like to have a chance to discuss it with her to clarify that.
Okay, it's a 21 case. So you want to do plea continue and then trial next time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So plea continue and then trial in March.
And that'll be set for the 17th.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the next case is David Nicomito, 21 CF 2993. I believe we can leave his case set on for docket day, plea or continue. There's some additional discovery that the state needs to provide.
Okay. And again, trial in March if it,
Yes, sir.
okay. So plea continue, trial next time.
Your Honor, the next case is William Thornton, 21 CF 1471. He is present. I believe he's out in the hallway, Your Honor.
Mr. Thornton? Good morning, sir.
Your Honor, I'd like to continue his case 1 cycle. I spoke with ASA Davis. There's some additional discovery that I need to provide her. So if we can continue his case 1 more time, it'll be plea or trial.
Well, that was what I stated 2 months ago, was trial this time. So
Mr. Dyer provided me some information, but we need a little bit more in order to really be able to dispose of the case. My expectation is it should be able to close between now and the next pre-trial with a potential even early plea.
well, is the case ready to go to trial?
There's one more thing that I need from Mr. Dyer
For the state to be prepared to go to trial?
for the case to be prepared to close, Judge.
Judge, I believe this will be resolved by plea. I just need to provide some more.
Okay.
Statements.
Counsel, if you'll approach. So because of those unique circumstances, it'll be plea, you want a plea continue or just a continue?
If we can continue to the next cycle, Judge.
So it's continued and then trial next time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So, Mr. Thornton, that means that I'll see you back here on March 13th at 9 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the next case I have is Mark Whitley, 21 CF 648, 22 CF 1498. He is an inmate. Your Honor, if we can schedule his violation of probation in 21 CF 648 for a hearing, I believe the state wants to set it for after your February trial week. So I don't know if the court can advise of an afternoon time. I think it should be 30 to 45 minutes possibly.
The length of the hearing, Mr. Durham, I think a little bit more, at least an hour.
Maybe an hour.
Okay, so you want to set the VOP.
Correct.
You want to continue the underlying the new case?
Yes.
Okay. So 22 CF 1498 is continued, but you want it to run with the VOP case? Or we'll just continue it to the next pre-trial?
That's fine.
Yeah. And then the VOP case, 21 CF 648. Miscellaneous dates. And you want it in April
That might be a little far
or
out,
March?
Your Honor.
Okay.
March.
If there is any availability in March, it would be fine, Your Honor.
There is, or in February if you want to do it then.
We can do February.
I would have to check with the other court dates. I would really prefer if it was March.
Okay, March 16th is the only date that we've got, and that will be at 2:30.
Okay.
That would work for the state, Your Honor.
That's fine, Your Honor.
So then I would say that the new case just tracks with the VOP case because the VOP case will be heard after the next pretrial case.
So we'll put him on the 16th for that day as well.
Correct.
Thank you, Your
That
Honor.
works, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Your Honor, the last case I have is Heather Williams, 22 CF 2259. The offer is a pretrial intervention. We just need to get the paperwork filled out. If we can continue her case to the 13th, hopefully we can get the paperwork filed prior to that date and she can fall off.
Well, why couldn't she,
Judge,
you don't think the paperwork will be completed before docket day?
she has to go meet with Officer Perez, so it'll fall off. We've got everything ready. The holdup was trying to get the cost of investigation from Niceville Police Department. So once I got that number, then we could send out the paperwork.
I understand. It's continued.
Thank you, Judge. That's all I have.
Thanks, Mr. Dyer.
Have a good day, Your Honor.
You too.
Mr. Byron, do you mind emailing the jail?
I will be ready. Thank you.
Ms. Merrifield or Mr. Flaherty?
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, ma'am.
All the cases should be in there this
Okay,
morning.
thank you.
The first case I have is Charles Lawrence in 22 CF 391. There's also an accompanying TR case, 22 TR 1448. There is a waiver on file, Judge. We just recently had depositions on the 5th. We are still in negotiation for plea discussions. I believe if we leave this set on docket day for plea or continuance, we should be able to resolve it.
Okay, if it's continued on docket day, then it'll be trial next time?
Absolutely, Judge.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
The next case I have is Toriano Marsh in 22 CF 2119. There is also a waiver on file. It's a relatively new case. We do not have an offer. We are going to need to schedule depositions. I spoke with Mr. Gomez, and we are working on coordinating this. I'd request a continuance to the March date.
Any objection from the state?
No objection.
It's continued one cycle.
The next case is Jeremy Moeller in 22 CF 2168, also a waiver on file. This case is resolving with pretrial intervention. The state's already communicated with Officer Perez, but as the court just heard, it is going to take a little bit of time to get the orientation set. I believe if we continue it, it'll fall off naturally before the next cycle.
Okay, it's continued.
Esteban Perez in 22 CF 2284, there is a waiver on file. We have not received an offer. There are some extenuating circumstances in this case. Mr. Gomez and I have discussed it several times. I believe we need to continue this one more cycle so that we can work through some of those complications.
So continued trial next time?
Yes, Judge.
Yes, ma'am.
The next one is Alejandro Rodriguez, 22 CF 1391. There is a waiver on file. I've spoke with Ms. Davis. There is a plea that's currently in transition. He is out of state. We anticipate it to be a plea in absentia. I believe if we leave it set for docket day, I may be able to get it resolved by then.
Yes, ma'am. It's scheduled for docket day, and it'll be either plea or trial because it was trial last time.
Absolutely, Judge. And the last case is Glenda White in 22 CF 1387. There's a waiver on file. This case has been referred to mental health court. We're in the process of confirming all of those evaluations. I believe we'd need to continue this. It's my understanding that if it's referred to mental health court, then we would plead into that court prior to our next pretrial.
Yes, ma'am. It's continued.
And I believe that is all I have, Judge.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Klein's.
Okay, good. Mr. Kleins.
Your Honor, this is Vinicius Cassiano de Souza. Mr. de Souza, can you hear me?
Senhor de Souza, o senhor pode me ouvir?
Sim.
Yes.
Your Honor, Mr. de Souza failed to appear in court on September 10th, 2020, which is why this case is so old.
Meritíssimo, o senhor de Souza, ele falhou em comparecer perante o tribunal no dia 10 de setembro de 2020, por isso que esse caso está tão antigo.
I have not had a chance to meet with him at the jail since he was rearrested yet.
Eu não tive a chance de encontrá-lo então na prisão desde que ele foi preso novamente.
He speaks Portuguese, not Spanish.
Ele fala português e não espanhol.
So the simple act of meeting with him is going to take some logistical maneuvering. I would ask the court for a one-cycle continuance.
E até mesmo para encontrá-los, nós temos toda essa manobra de logística com o idioma, então por isso eu pediria adiamento de mais ciclo.
I will give the court some idea, right now the current offer for Mr. D'Souza is 21 months in the Department of Corrections.
E eu vou dar então perante ao juiz mais ou menos uma ideia de qual está sendo a oferta. No momento, há uma oferta de 21 meses no Departamento de Correções, ou seja, na unidade de detenção.
However, we probably can get this resolved relatively quick. There is a statement from the alleged victim in the case indicating that it's his brother, that he doesn't want prison time here.
E nesse caso, na verdade, não, eu acredito que podemos resolver esse caso relativamente rápido, porque há uma declaração da vítima alegada, e no caso é o irmão dele que diz que não gostaria de ter tempo de prisão envolvido.
So I can't guarantee we'll be ready for resolution next cycle, but certainly I think we can probably get something done. The language is going to be probably the main impediment here.
Eu acredito que poderemos ter uma resolução no próximo ciclo, mas eu não posso garantir só porque, no caso, o idioma acaba sendo um impedimento aqui.
So, Mr. Hines, what do you intend to do between now and March 13th on the underlying case?
Well, obviously we will set depositions just as a backup.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if they would take place before March 13th. I know I've got 3 full days in February that Mr. Gomez and myself were just for 24 hours just deposing people. I will meet Mr. D'Souza. I'm going to come up to the jail and meet with you.
Bem, e o que o senhor tem intenção de fazer entre agora até o dia 13 de março, nesse período? Obviamente, nós vamos tentar, então, já colocar os depoimentos em ordem, já com uma preparação, antes do dia 13 de março. Eu sei que nós temos 3 dias completos em fevereiro para fazer isso. E, senhor de Souza, eu irei, então, à detenção para encontrar com o senhor.
Last thing I'll say, Your Honor, is the date of this statement that I have from the brother is February 2020, so I don't even know where he's at. We will try to get this resolved.
E meritíssimo, só para o senhor saber, na verdade, essa declaração que eu tenho do irmão, ela é de fevereiro de 2020, então nesse ponto eu nem sei mais onde é que ele está, mas é tudo que eu tenho no momento a apresentar, meritíssimo.
Mr. Clines, when do you intend to communicate with your client next?
As soon as I can. I know I've got a couple of Spanish-speaking clients there, but I have a feeling what I'm going to have to do is call into language line when I talk with him, which actually might make it quicker, because if I don't have to coordinate with an actual person, probably in the next week or so.
E quando o senhor tem a intenção de entrar em contato com o seu cliente, assim que possível, meritíssimo, eu tenho alguns intérpretes de espanhol, mas acredito que a forma mais fácil será ligar para o language line, para usarmos o intérprete. Acredito que dessa forma vamos facilitar e agilizar o processo.
Mr. Clines, please make sure that you stay in touch with Mr. D'Souza.
Senhor Clines, então tenha certeza que o senhor esteja em contato com o senhor de Souza.
I understand that the state's offering a prison sentence, but you still need to keep him up to speed where he knows what you're doing on his case.
Well, certainly. I didn't even know he was in
Hold on,
custody.
let her translate first.
Com certeza, então, que eu sei que o Estado, no momento, tem uma oferta que envolve um tempo de prisão, mas, de qualquer forma, ele tem que estar informado a todo momento do andamento disso e, obviamente, o mais rápido possível.
Yes, sir.
I was just going to say, I didn't even realize he was in custody until I was getting the docket together last week.
O que eu gostaria de dizer é que, na verdade, eu não estava nem ciente que ele estava preso, até que eu recebi todos os autos na semana passada.
Mr. D'Souza, I'll see you back here no later than March 13th.
Senhor de Souza, eu verei o senhor novamente aqui, não mais do que no dia 13 de março.
Thank you, sir.
Obrigado, senhor.
Thank you, Madam Interpreter.
Thank you, Honor. Anything else the interpreter can assist with?
I don't think so, no, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
Mr. Stevens. And for those of you on Zoom, if you'll please mute your microphone.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Mr.
The first case I have is Mac Edwards with Mr. Gomez. Depots are set February 15th, so I'm going to ask to continue the case.
I'm sorry, that's Edwards?
Yes, sir.
Did you get the information from FDLE?
Jason McKinney's office is waiting for FDLE. My client's not charged with possession of controlled substances. But yes, we are currently set February 15th for myself, Mr. McKinney, and I believe RCC.
Okay, so continuance?
Yes, sir.
It's continued.
The next out of custody I have is Dexter Lane, 22 CF 110 with Ms. Davis. Ms. Dudley has the other co-defendant. I know we attempted to reset depots for an officer who didn't show. Ms. Davis' assistant has been out this week, so they are not set yet, but they're in the process of being reset.
Mr. Lane's behind.
Yes, he's here.
Okay, and 2 months ago, you stated that an officer didn't show up for the deposition.
Correct.
Have you tried to reschedule it since then?
That's what we're trying to reschedule. It's just coordinating with my office, Ms. Dudley, and the state. It's taking some time. And then with the assistant being on COVID, it's taking some time to schedule those.
Okay, just know the court's here to help if you need it.
Yes, sir. We'll be ready for trial next cycle.
Okay. Mr. Lane, do you agree to the continuance?
Yes, sir.
I'll see you back here on March 13th. If it's not resolved then we'll look at going to trial on March 23rd. Thank you, sir.
Next case I have is Marquette Lewis, 22 CF 2641. This is a new appointment for me. I believe he is a juvenile. We're asking to continue to review the discovery.
Okay. The case is continued.
Next case is Jessica McCormick, 22 CF 2497. She is present. We are going to enter a plea this morning. I did a talk to her. She came from Alabama this morning, so I've got to go over the plea agreement with her, and she'll sign it and enter it today.
Good. If you'll just let me know when you're ready.
Yes, sir. Next out of custody I have is Richard Middleton, 22 CF 1409. I spoke with Mr. Gomez about this last week. We're going to leave it set for docket day without subpoenas. He's going to talk to the victim about a pretrial diversion or pretrial intervention agreement. So we should have that done on docket day.
So plea continue?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The next one is Davine Owens. She missed pretrial last month, but the court recalled the capias. I've had still no communications with her. I know she failed to appear for a misdemeanor court dates, and I believe there's a warrant pending for her arrest.
What does the state seek?
We would request a capias.
A no bond capias will be issued for Ms. Owens.
Next out of custody is Tommy Ross, 22 CF 1386 with Ms. Davis. I filed a motion of dismiss in this case. We are currently set for a hearing on February the 16th.
Yes, sir.
So I would ask to continue the case.
It's continued.
Susan Staubitz, 22 CF 2297. There is also a VOP in 21 CF 2716. I have not been appointed to the VOP. I spoke with Mr. McKinney this morning. I think the court signed the order this morning allowing him to withdraw. So I assume it's going to come to me eventually. If we can just leave it set for docket day without subpoenas, we've got the new law worked out. I just need to get the VOP and see what the state's offers.
On Staubitz, I believe a motion was set, was going to be filed, but I didn't see one of record.
Your Honor, I did receive an order this morning, and I have no information on it. My legal assistant received the order this morning appointing our office to Ms. Staubitz and texted me to let me know that there was a conflict in our office. So I will be filing a motion to withdraw and sending that order to the court today, and I will ask my legal assistant to make sure that Mr. Stevens' name is on that order.
Okay. Ms. Staubitz, do you agree to the continuance?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I was just asking to leave it set for docket day.
I'm sorry. Okay. Ms. Staubitz, I'll see you on January 17th at 9 o'clock, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So it's plea continued.
Terry Stone, 22 CF 1044, 1285, and 1286. Depots are currently set for February the 27th in all cases, so I would ask for a continuance in those cases as well.
Yes, sir. They're continued.
The next one is Rashad Thompson, 22 CF 435. A motion to suppress has been filed and is also set February the 16th at 2:30. I'll ask continue it to have that motion heard.
Yes, sir. It's continued.
And the last case is Irvin Willis, 22 CF 1973. The main loss prevention officer who conducted the investigation over several months did not show for his depot on January the 4th. The other loss prevention officer did, so we need to reset the main one who actually did the investigation and coordinate with Mr. Klein's office and my office. So we're going to ask to continue that to get those depots reset.
Okay. Yes, sir. It's continued.
And that's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Mr. Herrera, Mr. LaPella?
Morning,
No,
Your
Mr.
Honor.
Herrera.
Your Honor, the first I have this morning is Mr. Thomas Morgan.
Okay, are they under your name or his name or both?
It should be under the Lupella firm, Judge, so it'll be all together.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, for Mr. Morgan, I spoke with Mr. Gomez this morning. It's going to be his case. I asked for one cycle continuance on that to speak with Mr. Gomez.
Okay, I don't see Gomez.
No, Judge, it's Thomas Morgan. Mr. Gomez is the prosecutor on the case, but
Oh,
Thomas Morgan is
gotcha.
the client.
Thanks.
Yeah, sorry, Judge.
Morgan, yes, sir. It's continued one cycle.
Next, Your Honor, I have is Mr. Alan Mueller. I know the court's familiar with this case. We're still waiting on a result from the first DCA. I know it's dragging on. I defer to the court if it's a one cycle or two cycle continuance. Just we're waiting on the first DCA to get back to us.
And this case is stayed until that ruling?
Correct, Judge. So we're just kind of holding pattern until the first DCA responds.
Okay. To the state, any suggestions on how long we should continue it? One or two cycles?
I think 2 cycles would be good, Your Honor. I don't know exactly how long DCA is taking on this.
Okay. It's continued until May 8th at 9 o'clock.
Next, Your Honor, I have is Ashley Page. Judge, that's the PTI. We clarified an issue over the holidays. PTI is going forward now. Obviously, signed paperwork. She's in Tennessee, so Mrs. Julia Perez is working on that with her. Docket day is right around the corner. I don't know if that's a good control date, so I'll probably ask for a pretrial, and that should be falling off the court's docket.
Okay, let's just continue it, okay?
Next, Your Honor, I have is Miss Sierra Quintanilla with a Q. And Judge, we'd like to leave her set for trial this cycle.
Okay. So I'll see you on docket day on that case.
Next, Your Honor, I have is Mr. Joseph Rogers. Judge, in this case, I spoke with Ms. Davis. We'd like to move this out one cycle continuance. We'll be setting depositions in the meantime.
Okay, it's continued one cycle.
And last I have this morning, Your Honor, is Ashton Sonderman. I spoke with Ms. Davis. We have a revised offer I need to relay to her. I'd like to leave it set to continue for docket day to hopefully resolve it.
Okay, then trial next time?
Correct.
Okay, yes, sir. We continue.
And I've got Christopher Myrie, but I think he's listed today on my docket, but he's going to be an inmate in the afternoon, so I'll see the court back at 1:30.
Okay, thank you, sir. Ms. Jaquith?
Thank you, Your Honor. The first I have is Michael Bryan. He's got a waiver of appearance on file. That case number is 22 CF 655. And I believe pursuant to discussions with Ms. Davis, we're just going to leave this on for docket day, clear trial.
Okay, clear trial on Brian?
Yes. And then I have Cabayon Paredes, 21 CF 104. And kind of a similar situation pursuant to conversations with Mr. Gomez. I think the best to do is just leave this on for clear trial for docket day.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
And I correct my assumption that docket day will be Tuesday, the 17th?
Whatever, yes, ma'am. It says January 17th.
Okay, just making sure before I tell everyone. The next I have that's out of custody is Edward Maldonado. Mr. Maldonado. I have not seen Mr. Maldonado today, Judge, but I did speak with him, so I expect he's probably in the hallway. That case number is 22 CF 2491. I was newly appointed to this case, so I was going to be asking to continue so I can set some depositions in this case. Unfortunately, I've been getting heavily redacted discovery from the state attorney's office recently, so I'm going to have to set depositions to get information apparently.
Okay. Mr. Maldonado's case is continued one cycle.
Thank you, Judge. The next I have is Diamond McCoy.
Diamond McCoy.
And Your Honor, if I could pass Ms. McCoy
Ms.
for a
McCoy.
few minutes.
Okay.
I need to speak with her just for a few minutes before we do anything with her case. I know she lives out of state, so I'd like to see what we can do to try and get her case resolved if at all possible.
Okay. Ms. McCoy, I'll see you later this morning.
Okay. Your Honor, the next I have is Kevin McNamara. Okay. Oh, and Judge, this is Mr. Maldonado, who we just continued.
Oh, Mr. Maldonado.
I did tell the court that I had spoken to you and we were continuing case depositions.
Do you agree to continuing your case?
Yes, sir.
I'll see you back here on March 13th at 9 o'clock. Thank you, sir.
And Your Honor, the next I have is Kevin McNamara. And Your Honor, I haven't seen Mr. McNamara this morning, so if we could just pass him for a few minutes. He generally is not one to not appear for court, so
Okay.
let me check outside for him.
Yes, ma'am.
The next I have is William Malott in 22 CF 2469. Your Honor, Mr. Malott is actually in custody in Santa Rosa County, oddly on literally the exact same charge he's charged with here. I've been in conversation with Mr. Gomez. I believe what we're going to do is just the only pending charge we have here that isn't the same charge they were handling there is a driving charge. So I think what the intention will be is just to transfer that driving charge over to Santa Rosa, let them go ahead and resolve it, and then that would close this case out. But I think Mr. Gomez just needs a little bit more time to discuss that with Santa Rosa County, get all the moving parts taken care of. So I think we were just going to leave it on for docket day, try and get it taken care of.
So, plea continue?
Yes, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Next I have is Kevin Mene. Mr. Mene was just right outside the door, Judge. I did speak with him. 22 CF 1327. I think we're going to go ahead and just leave this one also set plea trial for docket day. I think we'll probably get a resolution on that one.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
And then James Nesmith. Your Honor, Mr. Nesmith is present and approaching in 22 CF 2693. I believe we have a resolution, but I need to talk to him just briefly. If we could pass him for just a few moments.
Okay. Mr. Nesmith, I'll see you a little later this morning.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next I have is Marcus Powell in 22 CF 2807. Mr. Mene. Judge, this is Mr. Mene, just for the court's information. I know you already continued it, but he is here.
Good. Mr. Mene's case wasn't continued.
Yeah. I'm sorry, docket day, Your Honor.
Mr. Mene, that means that I'll see you on January 17th at 9 o'clock. Stay in touch with Ms. Jakewood, okay? Thank you, sir.
Your Honor, I'll pass Mr. Powell for a few minutes in case he's out in the hallway.
Okay.
The next I have is Hakeem Reeves. Mr. Reeves is present in the courtroom. We saw him, and he's approaching. That case number is 22 CF 287. We did get a resolution. It was kind of a last minute thing this morning, so I don't have a written plea agreement, but it will be to all misdemeanor charges. There is carrying a concealed weapon charge that the state is going to be dismissing. And then there's a felony possession of marijuana that we reduced to a misdemeanor possession of marijuana. And then there was a paraphernalia charge that will be pled as charged. The agreed upon resolution is a withhold of adjudication, $270 in court costs, and $150 cost of defense.
Okay. Mr. Reeves, if you'll raise your right hand, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. You can put your hand down. Mr. Reeves, do you understand that if I accept your plea that you're waiving your right to a trial by jury? Do you believe it's in your best interest to enter the plea?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for the court or your attorney or the state about what the sentence will be?
No, thank you.
Is everything that Ms. Jakewood stated today on the record, is that accurate?
Yeah.
Mr. Reeves, I do accept your plea. Count 1 is dismissed. Adjudication is withheld on counts 2 and 3, both misdemeanors. All monetary assessments mandated by statute or county ordinance are imposed. That's the court cost. There's a $150 public assistance fee. How long will you need to pay? It's about $500, right?
Yes, Your Honor, and we were going to ask if the court would provide him with 180 days. He did just start working right before Christmas.
Good. So, Mr. Reeves, if you fail to pay that amount within 180 days from today, then it will go to a civil judgment. Thank you, sir.
Here, the next I have is Kimberly Roy in 22 CF 2543. Her husband called my office this morning and indicated she had COVID. Obviously, I was not there to tell him, hey, I need some kind of proof, so I don't have anything to provide to the court, but I did receive a phone call indicating she was ill. So if we could just go ahead and continue this case, it is a newer case for me. And I will say that I believe she's number 65 on the docket. So if you're looking for it, it had me as court appointed instead of regional counsel, so it pulled her name into a weird spot.
Okay.
I don't know if it showed up. It was in a weird thing.
So Ms. Roy's case is continued, but if you'll provide the court with proof that she's got COVID.
Yes, sir. I will do it. The next I have is Charles Stovall in 22 CF 2612. Mr. Stovall is present and approaching. Your Honor, Mr. Stovall's case, this is a trafficking case, so obviously without FDLE, we're not prepared to go forward. So this will have to be continued. Given that the FDLE is what's holding it up, I would just ask that continuance be charged to the state.
To the state? Any objection to the continuance being charged against the state?
No, Judge.
Okay. Mr. Stovall, I'll see you back here on March 13th at 9 o'clock. Thank you, sir.
Judge, next I have is Keith Warmble in 22 CF 2568. He also has a waiver on appearance. I believe the state is currently trying to find their alleged victim. So I was going to ask Ms. Davis if she thought one cycle was going to be enough or 2 would be appropriate so we can find that information and then send it out. Warmble. That was that at large.
Yeah, we'll just set it for one cycle, Judge. I've already reached out to my investigator to try to locate an address.
Okay, it's continued one cycle.
Thank you. And I do have Candace Wilson. She's reviewing a plea agreement, so I'll pass her and call her in a few minutes.
Okay.
And then finally, I have Natasha Zespa in 22 CF 1534. And Miss Zespa was right out in the vestibule.
Ms. Zespa?
Miss Zespa? And I did just speak with her, Judge. This is a newer appointment for me. She's indicated that she would like to set up a trial. I'm obviously not prepared to do that at this point with just getting discovery and just being appointed. So I'll need to continue it to the March docket.
Okay, it's continued. And then do you want me to put trial next time?
I don't know, Judge. It's hard for me to say that because I just received the discovery. I don't know if I'll need to do depositions or...
Okay.
So ideally, yes, because it's a POCS. So ideally, yes, but I don't want to commit to that.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor. That's all I have for right now. I'll be back in a few minutes.
Thank you. Mr. Patel?
Good morning, Judge.
Mr. Patel, you were standing behind that baby stroller. It made me nervous.
No, we don't have to worry about that, Judge. I'm also covering for Mr. Browning, if I can handle his case first.
Yes, sir.
He has Jay Patel on behalf of Coy Browning for Randy Roche, 22 CF 2476. ROCHER.
Yes, sir.
He'd asked that, this is the first time up, he'd asked that it be continued. He just received the discovery, has not had an opportunity to review with his client.
It's continued one cycle.
And I have several before the docket, before Your Honor. The first one, Jay Patel and Tim Shaw on behalf of, last name is Aravello Shakan, first name is Rodrigo, 21 CF 1538. Judge, we were before the court last month, which we requested the court to issue an order to show cause because the alleged victim and her mother have failed to comply with our subpoena ducis tecum. The court granted that, and there's an over the state's objection, and the state does not agree with the language that I've put in the proposed order. Would you want us to, do you want to set it to docket day for us to have a quick hearing about it, or just submit our proposed orders and then the court can make a ruling?
Traditionally, what I do in civil cases is I ask the prevailing party to prepare the proposed motion, a proposed order, provide it to the non-prevailing party, and then if the two sides can't agree, then the non-prevailing party provide me and opposing counsel with a red line. So that would be the easiest way. So if you want to provide it to the state, and if the state will provide the court with a red line, then I'll finalize it and enter.
Okay, very good. And the state has a copy of that. So if we can continue that case, Judge, the motion for order, or rather the order to show cause hearing had already been tentatively set for February the 13th. So if we can continue this one cycle.
Okay, it's continued one cycle.
Court have dates on hand?
Yes, sir. It is March 13th. Docket day is March 20th. And jury review is March 23rd. Trial is March 22nd.
Thank you. Next, Jay Patel and Tim Shaw on behalf of Brett Bay, 21 CF 1136 and 21 CF 657. Judge, we have depositions set in Pensacola on February 22nd. We also need to reschedule, we had a bunch of no-shows on our last round, so we need to reschedule all those folks. I think that it might be best to do a 2 times continuance.
Any objection from the state?
No, Judge.
It's continued 2 cycles. Just know that the court's here to help if you need my assistance with the no-shows.
Thank you, Judge. I believe that was May 8th, I heard you say earlier?
Correct.
Okay. Next, Jay Patel and Tim Shaw on behalf of Donald Coraggio, 21 CF 2651. Judge, we're asking to continue that case. Mr. Coraggio is currently in treatment. Dr. McDonald is going to produce a report that that's going to be instrumental to our plea and sentencing, and so we'd ask for a little bit of leniency to get that completed.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
It's continued.
Next, Jay Patel on behalf of Alan Craig. Judge, this is a probation matter in which he's completed all of his terms of probation. I've spoken with probation this morning. They agree, and so I'd ask that his probation be terminated.
Any objection from the state? It's a VOP case. Probation, do you agree that Mr. Crank has fulfilled all his terms of supervision?
Yes, sir, Your Honor, we agree.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cranks, so his probation is terminated.
Next, Jay Patel and Tim Shaw on behalf of, last name is Maldonado, first name is Jose, 21 CF 459. Judge, we received discovery last week from the state that we need to send over to our expert for review. I'd ask to continue the case.
Okay, those were the videos?
No, this was a report.
It's continued one cycle.
Next, Jay Patel on behalf of, last name is McGonigal, first name is Sean, 22 CF 1675. I understood that the victim was out of state, and then Mr. Gomez text me over the weekend that he lives in Fort Walton Beach. Okay, so I've been trying to depose him, and I got a reciprocal discovery that he lived in Texas. So if we can continue it, and I'll get that updated address, and I'll do a deposition.
Okay, it's continued one cycle.
Next, Jay Patel on behalf of Sarah Schwab. She is an inmate, but there's also a waiver on file, 18 CF 2580, 18 CF 2590. The court recently found her competent to proceed. The prosecutors that were handling her case back in 2018, 2019, 2020 are no longer with the state attorney's office. I need to speak with the supervisor to make sure that kind of her old deal is tracking. If we can set it to docket day so I can try to get, I don't want her to sit in jail any longer than she has to, and I'm going to be up there to just go see her tomorrow.
Okay, so please continue, and if you'll let the jail know that Ms. Schwab doesn't need to be transported, or doesn't need to appear via Zoom.
Yes, sir.
Today.
So that's next Thursday?
Yes, sir. Well, docket day is January 17th. That's Tuesday, right? Tuesday.
Okay.
Do you need Ms. Schwab?
Judge, I represent Ms. Schwab on 2 cases.
Okay.
I did speak with her at the jail and indicated it was likely going to be pushed to docket day. So at this point, we would do the same with my cases and bring everything back on docket day for the continue.
Okay. So all of Ms. Schwab's cases are plea continued, and the jail doesn't need to bring Ms. Schwab before the court.
I'll email them, Judge. And
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. McKinney.
Next, Judge Jay Patel, on behalf of Reuben Stokes, 22 CF 336. I have filed a demand for speedy trial on December 27th. I'd ask that, well, if we can, Judge, and it may get resolved by an offer before then. I'm not sure. I've had some conversations with the state, but I'd ask that we try the case the week of January 23rd.
Okay. So it's scheduled for trial. Docket day will be next Tuesday, January 17th. Jury reviews the 19th, and then trial on January 23rd.
Judge, does my client need to be present the 17th and the 19th?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next, Jay Patel and Tim Shaw.
Before we go on,
okay.
Does the state have an offer to Mr. Stokes that they intend to withdraw if it's not accepted on docket day?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. Just, Mr. Patel, make sure that you let your client know that.
I don't know what the offer is. It seems like it's guidelines, which I already get.
Okay.
Yes, Judge. At this point, the possession of a firearm is currently only at a constructive possession of a firearm. So we would be going, if we go to trial, that will be amended to be the 3 years minimum mandatory actual possession. So there is that. But otherwise, it's incarceration, no probation or follow.
That's 100% new to me, Judge.
Okay, you need to write it down and make sure that your client knows, because on Tuesday, I'll ask Mr. Stokes, if he says that he wants to go to trial, say, do you understand the state's going to withdraw that offer?
Understood.
Okay.
Next, Judge Jay Patel and Tim Shaw on behalf of Brock Sutton, 22 CF 970. If we can continue this case, Judge, we're coordinating depositions.
Okay, yes, sir, it's continued.
Next, Jay Patel and Tim Shaw on behalf of Elijah Sutton, 22 CF 926. We had a couple no-shows from the depositions that we had last week that we need to reset. If we can continue that.
Yes, sir, it's continued.
Finally, Judge, there's a case, Jay Patel on behalf of Benjamin Tran, 20 CF 2456. It's not on the docket, but it should be on the docket. On the clerk's site, it's checked as fair to appear, but I was here, and he's in prison in Mississippi. This is that case, if you jog your memory.
Okay.
And so it should be on the docket today. This is, I think I told you.
What's the case number?
It is 20 CF 2456. If you recall, Judge, I told you back in November that I needed to speak to the supervisor. I've not been able to get that meeting set yet. I was told after January, so I'd ask that it get continued to March so I can get that meeting set up.
Any objection from the state?
No, Judge.
It's continued.
I have nothing further before the court. May I be excused?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
If I may, Mr. Patel?
Yes. I don't know who
Are
I'm
you
talking to.
representing Sheena Russell for Tim Shaw?
No, Tim Shaw's here.
I'm sorry.
No, that's good.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Shaw, you're next.
Morning, Judge.
Morning, sir.
I'd like to, if I can, Judge, cover some out-of-town lawyers. I guess I'd read the short straw, and they all have my cell number.
Okay.
Chris Klotz has Jonathan Lambert, Lambert, indicates there's a stand your ground hearing set for this Thursday. and they will announce after the ruling on that as to a resolution of the case or a trial.
Okay.
Lambert.
But it's
Chris Klotz is the
right.
attorney.
It's 75. Hearing set for January 12th at 2:30. Stand your ground. Okay. So you want plea continue?
Yes, Judge.
Okay.
And that'll be on the 17th, correct? Well, I get they can. I don't know how long the court will need to make a ruling on that.
Right. Hopefully, I'll rule that day. And
Okay.
we'll figure it out.
Thank you, Judge. Next was for Isaac Newland, Your Honor. He has 2 cases on the docket. First is Madison Yeager, Yaeger. He has indicated that that case is still in the discovery phase and has asked for a 1-cycle continuance.
Okay, it's continued.
And then Sarah Phillips, also still in discovery, is asking for a 1-cycle continuance. Sarah Phillips.
I don't see, who does she represent?
He indicated that he had filed motions to continue on both of those cases. It may have been within the 4-day time frame, so I think that one may have already been continued, Judge.
I don't see them.
Newland, already continued? Okay. He's asking for a 1-cycle continuance on that as well.
Okay.
Was that March 7th? 13th?
It's continued, yes, sir. On Newland's case, 22 CF 2904, Phillips.
Thank you, Judge. And Clay Adkinson has Parker Powell, Powell.
Yes, sir.
He's indicated this is the first time up. He's asking for a continuance. This new law violation resulted in a VOP in Walton County where he's currently incarcerated.
Okay, it's continued.
Thank you, Judge. And as to my cases, Your Honor, first case is Haley Hare, H-A-I-R-E, 21 CF 1591. Judge, this case, you may recall, we recently had a motion to compel a witness to testify that got reset between Christmas and New Year's. He did show and did give a deposition. There are more depositions set in February. Obviously, with the nature of the charge, there's a lot more to do. So we'll ask for, I'd assume 1 cycle just to keep it going, but it's probably going to be a little bit longer than that.
Yes, sir. It's continued 1 cycle.
Marcus Lee Lane, Your Honor, 22 CF 1994. Judge, we would like to, in hopes of resolution, leave that set on the 17th for plea or continuance.
Okay, yes, sir.
Next is James David Mills, 22 CF 1987. Judge, we would like to continue that 1 cycle. The alleged victim in this case has apparently just been arrested again and is incarcerated. We've been trying to depose him. His attorney is obviously resisting that. So we'll ask for a 1 cycle continuance, Judge, and hopefully get it worked out.
Okay, yes, sir. It's continued.
Martha Sean Monk, M-O-N-K, 22 CF 1932. Judge, let's leave that set for the 17th. Appears to be close to a resolution. If not, we'll try it in March.
Okay, so plea continued, trial next time.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I anticipate it will be resolved next week, man.
Yes, sir.
Next is Katrina Puri, P-U-R-I, 21 CF 388. Judge, as the courts, this is one you've had to review a substantial amount of records in. We did take the deposition of a CAC employee between Christmas and New Year's. She asserted privilege several times during that deposition. The court's going to have to address that. We've ordered the transcript. it's probably better to do it 2 cycles, but if you want to keep it on as long as the cycles are now, if you want to leave it on for March, that's perfectly fine as well.
Okay, so I'll be getting a motion.
Yes, Judge.
It's continued 1 cycle.
Sheena Russell, Your Honor. Mr. Gillespie, I believe, is on Zoom.
Yes, sir.
Judge, have discussed that case. We did send over a motion to continue. It's probably within your 4-day time frame, so I apologize for that. The state had indicated they're going to be seeking to take the deposition of the alleged victim to perpetuate. Apparently, the alleged victim in this case is about 100 years old, resides in the state of Missouri. So we'd ask to continue that cycle.
Okay, and I did have your proposed order on that, and my note was, when have depots been set to occur? Because I think your motion said we're going to set depots.
Yeah, I don't believe they've been set yet, Judge. The state is, I believe, attempting to coordinate that one to perpetuate. We weren't.
Mr. Gillespie?
I don't believe any depositions have been set. I've discussed with Mr. Shaw that we should probably set those for the local investigators and such. We have one the victim in the case is 100 years old. She's been relocated to Missouri. I discussed that if we're going to do depositions, we may want to do as well perpetuating testimony that may require us to travel to Missouri. I'm researching that to see if there's an easier way to do that. But I do believe we may need to travel there or bring it here.
So, 1 cycle continue?
To keep it moving, let's do a 1 cycle continue.
Okay, it's continued 1 cycle.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, sir.
Next is Jutha Taup Sucom, SUKOM 22 CF 1931. Have discussed this several times with the state. We're having, obviously, some depots have to be set, but the expert has to review the CP material, Your Honor. So we'll ask for a 1 cycle continuance. The state has no objection.
Okay, it's continued 1 cycle.
And lastly, Judge, is Brandy Joe Underhill, 22 CF 2209. There's a motion in limine that's been filed regarding the video evidence which forms the basis of this case. Having discussed it with Ms. Barrickman, this is one the defense is not asking to continue for speedy trial purposes, Your Honor. The state has indicated that they want to review the motion in limine before making any determinations. We don't have any problem with that as long as we can do that before the trial date. If you want to put it on a miscellaneous day, I think is what the state suggested.
Yes, Judge. Essentially, the issue with the motion is that I expected it to be dispositive, but there was a co-defendant whose case had been opened long before this one, and it was given to the military, so I need to speak with the people that are investigating with the military base.
That's accurate. That is true.
Okay, so you want to continue this 1 cycle, but then set the motion? You want to keep it plea continue? What do you want to do?
Judge, obviously, we're in a position that we don't intend to continue it. We don't want to waive speedy trial. We'd like to go forward with it. I don't have a problem leaving it on the 17th. The state suggested a miscellaneous day. As long as we don't go out past the trial date, I'm perfectly fine with whichever of those is available.
Okay. So the afternoon of docket day, Madam Clerk, how does that? Do you have any hearings set? Okay. You want to set it for the afternoon of January 17th?
I might have to issue subpoenas.
Yes, I'd be available as well. So.
Okay, so it's plea trial, and the motion in limine is set for January 17th at 1:30.
Thank you, Judge. I believe that's all I have.
Thanks, Mr. Shaw. Mr. Heath.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Heath.
Your Honor, I have 2 cases before the court sworn in. The first one's going to be Jonathan Lee Gates. Judge, may we approach?
Yes, sir. Mr. Yates's case is continued one cycle.
Thank you, Your Honor. My next case is Clayton Blackshear. Mr. Blackshear is incarcerated.
Okay, and they will appear via Zoom whenever the pods come up.
I have briefed him up, Judge. We're just moving it. We have some significant issues with this case. We have an officer that is actively avoiding, or correction, he's actively refusing to appear for depositions, so I have to do a motion to the court to deal with that issue. I also anticipate at least 2 other motions that are coming. Mr. Blackshear is aware of all of them. We briefed him up this morning, and we briefed him up last week.
So you waive Mr. Blackshear's appearance today?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If the court will accept that, I can waive it, because like I said, he's briefed up on all of it.
Okay.
If not, I can stay around, Judge. We can do it by Zoom if he's coming in, but I don't know how the jail's going to do that.
As long as your client's up to speed and consents to the continuance, then that's fine.
He is and he has.
Okay. So it's continued one cycle. You'll file your motions?
Yes, sir.
And we'll
This
set them
week.
for
They're all going to be coming this week, and then we have one more depot that has to be reset from our last round of depositions. And I think we get all that done in one cycle.
We should.
Good.
Okay. Thank you, Judge. And that's all I have before the court this morning. May I be excused?
Thanks, Mr.
Thank you,
Yes,
Judge.
sir.
Your Honor, we have Gregory Marler on the docket, and Mr. Warner is from Tallahassee. He's with the state.
Yes, sir.
Was it Mr. Marler's presence in approaching the if we could ask for a one-cycle continuance. We did take some depositions in December. We didn't get a chance to depose everybody involved in the case. And Mr. Warner and myself have talked about possible alternative resolutions to this situation. So I would ask for a one-cycle continuance, and I'll talk with Mr. Marler between now and March 13th and see how he wants to proceed as we're resetting some of these depositions that we need to take.
Yes, sir. Any objection to that?
No, Your Honor, the state's in probate right now, the victim's estate, and how that's being resolved is probably going to mitigate David's case pretty heavily.
Okay. And unless there's some substance at the next hearing, next pretrial, if you want to attend via Zoom, you certainly do that.
Sure. Thank you, Judge.
Okay. So it's continued until March 13th at 9. Okay. Mr. Marler, I'll see you March 13th at 9 o'clock. Okay. Thank you, sir. Mr. McKevittich. I butcher your name every time. By the end of this, hopefully I'm going to be able to pronounce your name. And I apologize.
No apology needed, Your Honor. Joseph McKevittich, just for the record. The first case I have is Jamie Medina Fernandez, case number 22CF2391.
Yes, sir.
We're pretty close to getting this thing resolved, Your Honor. It's the offer from the state is PTI. My client's an immigrant who's married to active duty military, so we have some additional movement that needs to happen, and we'll go through some pretty extreme consequences for her. We could set it on the docket day.
For plea continue?
Plea continue. We
Yes,
should
sir.
be able to have it resolved by then.
Okay.
Thank you. Next case I have is Julio La Chapelle Castillo and Joseph McKevittich, just for the record on his behalf. That case is 22CF1318. I believe that we may be close to getting this resolved as well. I'd like to try and get this on docket day, plea or continue.
Okay.
I know it's an older case, Your Honor.
So plea continue and then trial next time if it.
That's fine with me.
Okay, yes, sir.
Now, the third case I have on the docket, Your Honor, is State of Florida versus Olivas Martinez is the last name. Case number is 22CF2892. I believe this is the first time up. I thought I didn't have discovery yet, but Mr. Gomez, I did. I do have my checking office And when we did receive it, there was just a mix-up, and I didn't get it in my file. But I would like a continuance to be able to review that discovery.
Yes, sir, it's continued.
Thank you very much. I have
Thank
nothing
you, sir.
further.
Good seeing you.
Nice to see you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Take care.
Okay, oh, Mr. Gates. Took me a second to read your name. Good morning, sir.
Your Honor, the first case I have is Jose Andino Cardenas. That case was put back on the docket for failure to comply with the DPA. We've had no contact with Mr. Andino Cardenas. We have attempted to contact him by email, text, and snail mail, and have had no response from him.
What does the state seek?
Capious, Judge.
A no bond capious will be issued for Mr. Andino Cardenas.
Your Honor, the next case that I have is Donna Lambert. It's 2022 CF 2704. May I approach with the state, please?
Yes, sir. Ms. Lambert's case is continued 2 cycles.
Your Honor, the next case I have is Dustin Levielle, Leveille. It's 2022 CF 2581. We have deposition scheduled for January 27th in this case, and it's my understanding that Ms. Barrickman has no objection to a continuance.
That's correct.
Okay, it's continued 1 cycle.
Your Honor, the next case I have is Irina Pasari, Pasare. It's 2022 CF 2757. We have deposition scheduled for January 30th in this case. I do need to advise the court that there are co-defendants, and in talking with Mr. Patel, who has one of the co-defendants, if he's not available, we may have to push those back, but 1 cycle continues.
Yes, sir, it's continued 1 cycle.
Next case is Kirk Reynolds, 2022 CF 2930. That's a brand new case. Have not received discovery yet, but we have contacted the state to schedule depositions, and I believe the state has no objection to a continuance in that matter.
It's continued 1 cycle.
And finally, Judge, Michael Scott. It's 2019 CF 1212. It's a VOP. Is that on the court's docket?
I don't show that, no, sir.
Okay, then I'll
well, I've got a 19 CF 1212, but it doesn't show it as a VOP.
It is. Your Honor, Mr. Scott is in the Santa Rosa County Jail, and I've talked with the state, and we have an offer in Santa Rosa County that we're going to accept, and then we're going to try to get him to appear by Zoom to do a concurrent sentence on that. There's going to be a DOC sentence, so if we just set this off for the next available VOP date, so I can try to get it worked out in Santa Rosa County.
Okay. Well, we've got January 12th, or do you want to do February 16th?
February 16th.
Okay, February 16th.
And Judge, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Stevens?
I have a pre-agreement on that last case that I had, Judge. It's Jessica McCormick, 22 CF 2497.
Ms. McCormick?
She is present and approaching. She has signed the plea agreement. It will be as follows. It's a 1-count information. She will withdraw her previously entered plea of not guilty, tender a plea of no contest. She will be plead to the lesser included offense of improper display of a weapon, Florida Statute 790.10. She will be adjudicated guilty, credit for time served, $275 in court costs, and public assistance fee if I can approach.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. McCormick, if you'll raise your right hand, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. You can put your hand down. Ms. McCormick, did you read the plea agreement?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand it?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes, yes, I
Okay.
did.
Did you sign it?
Yes, I did.
Ms. McCormick, I do accept your plea. You're adjudicated guilty. You're sentenced to credit for time served. Was Ms. McCormick previously adjudicated guilty?
It's a misdemeanor.
Okay, good, because it's the lesser included.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Ms. McCormick, you're adjudicated guilty of the lesser included, the misdemeanor. You're sentenced to credit for time served. All monetary assessments mandated by statute or county ordinance are imposed. That's the court cost. There's a $150 public assistance fee. How long will it take you to pay? Approximately $500.
A couple months.
Okay, why don't we say 90 days, okay? So if you fail to pay it within 90 days, then it will be sent to a civil judgment.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Judge. I'll see you for inmates this afternoon.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Cotton?
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, sir.
We're going to have 4 cases on today's docket. The first case is John Petersy, P-E-E-T-E-R-S-C, case number 22 CF 1393. Judge, there's a motion to suppress set on that. My calendar shows a hold. I don't think we filed a notice yet, but it's set for your 12/23 docket. I believe we just need to get the notice out on that. So request a continuance to coincide with however we're handling that.
12/23.
Sorry, 2/23, Judge.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, may I ask you what this defendant's name is again?
Petersy, P-E-E. Got you.
So it's continued one cycle.
Your Honor, the next is Richard Riddle, State of Florida versus Richard Riddle, 22 CF 2588. Your Honor, we have depositions set January 30th, so it continues to coincide with the depositions that are set.
Yes, sir, it's continued.
Your Honor, the next case is Jeffrey Allen Williamson, 22 CF 1609. If I could have just one moment, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Sir, Sean Sasser here.
Sean Sasser?
Your Honor, the victim had been subpoenaed to court this morning. State Attorney's Office has made multiple attempts to contact him, and we have had no response. Based on that, we have insufficient evidence to proceed with an dismissal.
Mr. Williamson's case, 22 CF 1609, is dismissed.
Thank you, Your Honor. The last case I have that's on the docket today is Jason Young. Your Honor, that's a plea that we've already entered. He had a turn-in today by today at 5 p.m. Young, Y-O-U-N-G. I'm sorry, Judge. 21 CF.
What happened to Amanda Walker?
Your Honor, I filed a motion of continuance, but I think if we were waiting on state response, we didn't get that. I don't think the state has an objection.
I think it's already been filed, Judge. I think there was a motion.
I just didn't have an order, or I'm not aware if I had an order. So, it may have come in Friday or over the weekend, Judge. I'm not.
No, sir, there was no factual reasons given for the motion, and that was why I didn't grant it.
That's fine, Judge. That's stipulated. Your Honor, the reason why is I am working on trying to resolve that case. The state has provided the discovery, which I've reviewed with my client at the jail. I'm working on some information with my client so that I can meet with the state to make an offer. I've spoken, or at least email corresponded with the state on this. I'm setting an appointment to see if I can resolve it. Your Honor, it is my hope that it can be resolved, but because of the significance of the case, I would need to set some depositions if I'm unable to resolve it. I believe it's a trafficking case, so I would request one last continuance on this case. I think I can, if I can't get it resolved, I think I can get my depositions set, and I can work with the state on doing that. I don't know what dates those would be set out, but I should be able to meet with my client next week.
Okay, can you waive her appearance today?
I do, Your Honor.
And you'll let the jail know that they don't need to, she doesn't need to appear via Zoom?
I will, Your Honor.
Okay. So Ms. Walker's case is continued one cycle. I'm putting trial next time. That'll be subject to the depositions being held.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now you said you had a last case?
I do. It's Jason Young, 21 CF 2442. Your Honor, he had, we've already sentenced him in this case, and he was given today by 5 o'clock to turn himself in at the Okaloosa County Jail. in accordance with the sentence. He's been advised that he needs to do that by my office.
Okay.
I would expect that to be resolved, but do we need to set it for a control just in case?
No, sir. I mean, if he doesn't show up when he's supposed to, then,
That is what it is. Got it.
okay.
All right, that's all I've got for the court, Judge.
Thanks, Mr.
Thanks.
Your Honor, I don't have any other matters. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much. I will see you for docket day.
Yes, sir.
Do I have a Miss Gloa in the courtroom? Gloa?
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Gates, you something linger?
Your Honor, the court issued a capias for Mr. Andino Cardenas. He was in the back of the courtroom.
Mr. Cardenas, come on.
He was, it's 2020 CF 2450, 2020 CF 1887. He was put back on the docket for failure to comply with the DPA. He hadn't paid all the restitution.
Right.
So
Mr.
if we could-
Cardenas, first off, let's get the capias out of the way, okay? The capias is withdrawn in your case. Okay, so Mr.
Thank
Gates, what are we going to do?
If we could set it off to the next pretrial, Mr. Andino Cardenas says that he can have the restitution paid within that time period, so I'd like to set it to the March, whenever the next pretrial is, and give him time to pay it.
Okay, how much is owed?
It's approximately $2,000.
Mr. Cardenas, the reason why I hesitate is my concern that you haven't stayed in touch with Mr. Gates. If we're here on March 13th and the case hasn't been resolved, I just want to keep tabs on you sooner than later on that. But to the state, what do you wish to do on Mr. Cardenas' case?
Your Honor, the state would like to give him more time to pay off the restitution on the cost. If that is what he's going to do. If not, then by the next time, if he hasn't paid it off, then we're going to proceed forward.
Okay. Mr. Cardenas, I'll see you back here on March 13th at 9 o'clock. If it's not resolved by that time, then we'll be going to trial on March 27th. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Gates. Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Judge. Judge, if you'll recall, we have Hilda Lopez Hernandez, case number 462123. Ms. Hernandez is present. Ms. Hernandez, if you'll come down, and court-certified interpreter is present as
Swear
well.
in the interpreter.
Do you agree to accurately translate from English into Spanish and from Spanish into English all matters brought before the court?
I do.
Thank you, Judge. If you'll recall back on, I believe it was November 23rd, Ms. Hernandez entered a plea as charged in this case, and sentencing was set off until today. It is an agreed-upon sentence. She was essentially given some grace to spend time with her family over the holidays prior to turning herself in.
Okay. What is the sentence?
I'm sorry, I'm letting her finish before. Judge, she will be adjudicated guilty. It's a three-count information. The first count is leaving the scene with the death. That's a first-degree felony, 30 years state prison, and a $10,000 fine with a 4-year mandatory minimum. Count 2 is a no valid driver's license. That's a second-degree misdemeanor, 60 days county jail and a $500 fine. And then count 3 is evidence tampering, which is a third-degree felony, 5-year state prison, a $5,000 fine. The sentence would be on count 1, an adjudication of guilt, 4 years state prison as a mandatory minimum sentence, followed by 6 years probation, and probation to terminate automatically if she is deported. Terms of probation would include $515 court costs plus a fine of $1,000.
I'm sorry, a fine of how much?
$1,000.
Thank you.
to be paid in equal monthly installments over the first 5 years and 10 months of probation, and then a 6-month driver's license suspension. Judge, my suggestion would be that be the sentence in count 1. In count 2, she received time served since it's a misdemeanor. And in count 3, 4 years state prison running concurrent.
And you mentioned there's a $500 fine in count 2?
No, Judge, that's the statutory maximum fine in count 2. I'm going over the maximums in the case of count 1, the minimum mandatory.
Okay.
Just making sure it's on the record and she's aware of it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hernandez. First off, the court previously entered or accepted the plea, correct?
That's correct, Judge. And I believe you were already provided a copy of the score sheet. If not, I have one for you.
Please. Ms. Hernandez, you're adjudicated guilty. You're sentenced to 4 years with the Department of Corrections in both count 1 and count 3. You're sentenced to credit for time served in count 2. In count 1, the 4 years in prison is a mandatory minimum, so you'll serve day for day. Count 3, the 4-year DOC sentence will run concurrently, run at the same time as the 4-year sentence in count 1. You're placed on probation for 6 years after you're released from prison, and that will automatically terminate if you're deported. You'll need to pay a $1,000 fine. Your driver's license is suspended for 6 months. I didn't previously say it, it's an adjudication of guilt. All monetary assessments mandated by statute or county ordinance are imposed. That's the court cost. You will need to pay the $1,000 fine, as your attorney stated today on the record. Ms. Hernandez, you do have 30 days to appeal this judgment and sentence. If you wish to appeal, it must be in writing. If you cannot afford an attorney to represent you for that appeal, one may be appointed for you. Do you understand your appellate rights?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Good luck to you.
Just count 1. The statutory maximum count 3 is a total of 5 years, so she would only have 1 year left to serve on probation. It just doesn't make any sense.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Ms. Hernandez, you want us to give your first to your mother?
And Judge, I have an individual with Madam Interpreter as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And that person is Mr. Sarmiento Chacon, case number 22 CF 2678. Jader, Jayder, last name Sarmiento Chacon.
You have S as in sound.
Correct. 22 CF 2678.
Yes, sir.
Judge, I'd like to come back on docket day, clear to continue. We have depositions scheduled for this Friday, which may be helpful in trying to resolve the matter.
Okay, so I will see you back here on Tuesday, January 17th at 9. Since we've been working more than an hour and a half, we'll take a 10-minute recess and then we'll finish the morning. Thank you.
All rise.
Mr. Garrett, it's my understanding I'm taking your case next. Hello, Mr. Garrett. Mr. Garrett, who's your client?
Your Honor, I have a couple clients on the docket today. The first is Joseph Dukes, 21 CF 1593. Your Honor, we filed a motion in that case. Mr. Gomez is going to take a look at. We request a continuance to either do a resolution there or get scheduled for a hearing.
Okay, and I'm sorry, which client is this?
It was Joseph Dukes, Your Honor, 21 CF 1593.
Got it. Okay. Mr. Gomez isn't back yet? There you go. Mr. Gomez, we're speaking about Joseph Dukes. Mr. Garrett's on Zoom. So what are you seeking, Mr. Garrett?
Your Honor, we would be seeking a continuance here to either to come to some sort of a negotiated resolution, or if we need to go ahead and set the motion for a hearing, we can do so.
Okay, I didn't understand that. Something about a motion, but I didn't get that.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he's asking for continuance.
Okay, is that what you're seeking, Mr. Garrett?
That's correct.
Okay, and you're going to file a motion?
We've already filed it, Your Honor. I was just giving Mr. Gomez a chance to look it over.
Okay. So Dukes' case is continued one cycle.
Thank you, Your Honor. And then I had Skylar Potter, 22 CM 2292. Your Honor, we're still in the process of negotiating this case. I do believe we are close to a resolution. If we could leave him set for January 17th for a plea to continue, we might very well be able to get that case resolved.
Okay, please continue. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. And then I have Eduardo Rosales Zelaya with Ms. Jones. It's 22 CF 2490. First time up, we request a continuance.
Any objection from the state?
No.
It's continued one cycle.
And I apologize, Your Honor, what was the next cycle's court date?
The dates are March 13th for pretrial, March 20th for docket day. Jury review is March 23rd, and the first day of the first trial week is March 27th.
Thank you, Your Honor. Then I have Joseph Sikorsky, 22 CF 2319. Your Honor, we received the videos for this case last week. We request a continuance to the March pretrial.
Okay, it's continued one cycle.
Then I have Colin Weaver Johnson, Chris Garrett on behalf of Colin Weaver Johnson, case number 22 CF 2537. It's the first time up for this client. Your Honor, we request a continuance.
Okay, what are you going to do over the next couple months on the case?
Your Honor, receive and review discovery.
Okay, it's continued one cycle.
And then finally, Your Honor, Chris Garrett on behalf of John Belcher, 22 CF 2633. First time up for this client as well. We request a continuance to March 13th. I don't think this chance has any objection.
Okay, it's continued one cycle.
Thank you, Your Honor. I believe that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Garrett.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Out
Thank
of
you.
order with Mr. McKinney, we're going to hear Ms. Stafford.
Okay, Ms. Gafford?
Stafford.
Stafford, thank you.
Ms. Stafford is present in the courtroom in 22 CF 2821.
Hello, Ms. Stafford. Look, just
Judge, we're here for pretrial today. I have not received the discovery from the state attorney's office yet. I was just appointed on the 15th of December. We did file our motion for the release of DCF and CPT records. The court has signed that order, but we are awaiting discovery from the state. So we will request a continuance until the next available pretrial day.
okay. Ms. Stafford, do you agree to the continuance?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll see you back here on March 13th at 9 o'clock. Stay in touch with Mr. McKinney, okay? Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Reed? I don't see Mr. Reed. Ms. Simon?
Judge, Mr. Reed said he's going to come back at 1:30.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have one case on today's docket, William Watson. It's 2022 CF 1064. There is a waiver on file.
Okay, yes,
and we
ma'am.
did file a motion to continue, but I know that it was not done far enough in advance, so here I am. Ms. Davis does not have any objection.
And it was Watson?
Yes.
I got it. Yes, ma'am. In your motion, it didn't say whether the state objected to it or not. So that was one of the reasons why I didn't sign it.
I believed it. I apologize for that. They do not have any objections. We have some additional depositions to take.
Okay, it's continued one side.
And that would be March 13th?
Yes, ma'am.
And I have another case that is not on your docket. I did have a misdemeanor case for him downstairs. It is 2022 CF 2458 in the interest of Hunter McCall. There was a corresponding misdemeanor that stemmed from the same charges as the felony. It was my understanding that I thought the felony had been transferred to misdemeanor court. We resolved it. It was actually dismissed downstairs this morning. I got a call from my client who was just picked up on a warrant out of the felony case. I did speak to Mr. Gomez. I don't think I've tried to call my client back and he's not answering, so I believe they've taken him into custody, so I don't know that we could recall the capias, but can we agree to set a signature bond and set it back on the felony docket for us to resolve it? He's in Bay County, so I don't, I'm trying to avoid him having to sit there for a few days.
The state has no objection to setting a signature bond to when we get out.
An ROR bond will be set for Mr. McCall. It's 22 CF 2450.
And will that be set for March 13th as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
We don't reset them on the docket until they have been arrested.
Which was today, so I mean automatically.
He actually was arrested.
This morning he was, yes. Otherwise, I would have asked if we could recall the KPS. I think it's too late for that.
Thanks, Ms. Summers.
Thank you.
Mr. Noakes? Yes, sir, Mr. Noakes.
Morning, Your Honor.
Morning, sir.
I've got Tyler Forrest, 21 CF 336. Mr. Forrest is present. Judge, the state and I've been looking at this case pretty hard the last few days. We believe we can resolve it on the docket day, which I believe is it next Monday?
Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
That's right. So if we could leave it set, just clear continuance, I think we've got a plea pretty close to worked out.
Okay, and if it's not settled then it'll be trial next time?
Trial in March.
Yes, sir. Correct. Okay, yes, sir. So, Mr. Forrest, I'll see you next Tuesday at 9 o'clock.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
See. So what day is that, the 17th?
Yes, sir.
Judge, you're doing inmates at 1:30?
Yes, sir, after we finish, right?
I'm gonna zoom back in on those if that's all right.
Yes, sir.
David Cryer is present, Judge. Judge, the state and I have also been communicating about Mr. Cryer's case. There was one question about the newer case, whether they have a lab report, and they do not at this point, so I'd like to leave it set for the 17th also. Clear continuance with the understanding that I think we might be able to resolve it.
Okay. Mr. Cryer, I'll see you next Tuesday at 9 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Ladson is an inmate, Judge, so I'll take care of that later. This afternoon, Jaden Lovett. Jaden Lovett. Judge, I just got appointed to Mr. Lovett's case last month.
Jaden Rashawn Lovett. I don't see Mr. Lovett. What does the state seek?
State requested KPs, Your Honor.
KPs will be issued for Mr. Lovett in the first appearance court.
But I actually think he's got a bondsman. If I looked at it Friday, and it seems like he's got a bondsman on his cases. Would the court pass it until 1:30 and let me see if I can call the bondsman and find out what's going on?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So it's passed on Lovett.
John McLaughlin. Watkins here, Judge. I've got an email from Mr. Gonzalez. So do you want to try to, you want to just set this for docket day and see if you can figure out the last pieces of it?
Well, Mr. McLaughlin.
There you go. So Judge, we could say let's leave it set for Tuesday the 17th.
Okay, is it plea continued trial next time, or is it going to be plea trial?
Judge, I think it's going to work out. We can say trial next time.
Okay, yes, sir. So, Mr. McLaughlin, I'll see you a week from tomorrow at 9.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
I believe Lovett.
Oh, Mr. Lovett? Yes, Mr. Lovett, Judge. Judge, I was just appointed you back up to Mr. Lovett.
Mr. Lovett, come on up.
I'm sorry. Don't worry. You can call my office and set an appointment to you can come talk to me, call in and talk to me. Judge, he's got 4 cases on the docket, and I just was appointed last month. And I just got discovery Friday or Thursday, so call the 0700.
Mr. Lovett, I'll see you back here on March 13th at 9 o'clock, okay?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Stay in touch with Mr. Notes.
Call that number. That was March 17th, Judge?
13th.
13th?
Yes, sir.
Judge, I have then an inmate is Miles, Darnell Miles. I'll cover him this afternoon.
Yes, sir.
William Morgan's present, Judge. Judge, we're actually going to put it on the March docket, but I'm going to file a motion to suppress that I'll get scheduled with the court. But if we could put it for 3/13.
Yes, sir, it's continued.
Give you this, and I'll be in touch if you got to be here another day, okay?
That was Tuesday.
Yeah.
March 13th.
That's the date you need to be here, okay?
Yeah, well,
So
Mr.
be in
Morgan,
touch.
hold on one second. Yes, sir.
Was that on March 13th?
Yes, sir. So March 13th at 9 o'clock, but Mr. Nobles filed a motion, so we'll have a hearing before that date. Stay in touch with him.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And then, Judge, I've got Charles Morrison's an inmate. It's going to be a plea. I've given the plea agreement to the state, so they'll have that for the court at the time.
Okay.
David Pope.
David Pope.
Mr. Pope's present. Judge, I'm going to ask just to leave it set for the 17th also. The state's trying to get a hold of the alleged victim.
So plea continued?
Yes, sir.
Is it going to be trial next time, or?
If it gets tried, we can do.
Okay. Mr. Pope, I'll see you a week from tomorrow at 9. Thank you.
And then Rutherford, Judge, he's one of the 3 brothers. There's 3 of them.
Okay.
Identical charge. I think all the other cases got bumped. Katie, where did they get bumped to?
March 13th.
How much?
March 13th.
March 13th. So we'll just put it on March 13th. Good, Judge.
Mr. Rutherford, it's 22 CF 372. Mr. Rutherford, I'll see you back here on March 13th at 9 o'clock. Make sure you stay in touch with Mr. Notes. Thank you, sir.
Judge, the next case, Sabio is an inmate. I'll deal with him this afternoon. Carlos Samberlin, Judge, he's present. Ms. Davis and I had spoke, I believe in December, and I was trying to narrow down who I needed to. There's 2 co-defendants, and I think they're both off at DOC. And where's the third one now? Sean. Can't find Sean in the system. I'll look. So anyway, Judge, unfortunately, I'm going to have to continue this. I inherited this case from Don Whitmire, so it's one of these cases that's been hanging around, but I also know that I haven't had it very long.
Okay. Mr. Samberlin, I'll see you back here on March 13th at 9 o'clock. Stay in touch with Mr. Notes, and we'll try to push your case forward, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Good day.
Judge, then I have Britton Snell. I had to cancel depots on December 13th because of some medical issues I had going on. So we're rescheduling them. I don't know that we've arrived on a date yet, but Mr. Snell's case we'd asked to put on the 13th.
Mr. Snell, I know that 2 months ago we talked about plea or trial, but because of what Mr. Noakes just stated, I'll see you back here on March 13th at 9 o'clock. Thank you, sir.
This evening. Judge, Ms. Volkers, I'm going to leave set for docket day, clear continuance. I think the co-defendant may have already pled out on that case, but I got to check on that.
Is Ms. Volkers present, or did you wait?
We
Did you
waited.
wait?
Yeah.
So please continue. Yes, sir.
And then the final case I have is Elijah White.
Elijah White?
He's present, Judge. He had been in a program in mid to South Florida, and he's gotten out now, but he's out on bond, and I don't know that I've been given much discovery yet. It's been around for a while, but then he went off for these programs, but I don't think I've been given a whole lot of discovery. I'll just have to check on that if the court would put it on the 13th of March, and I'll send an email and try to track down all the discovery.
Okay. Mr. White, do you agree to the continuance? I'll see you back here March 13th at 9 o'clock. Stay in touch with Mr. Noakes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Judge. I think that's all I've got, and I'll see you at 1:30.
Thank you, Mr. Noakes. Mr. Madden?
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Mr. Madden.
John Madden here on behalf of Preston Houghton. Your Honor, we've got depositions scheduled at the beginning of next month in this case, so I would be asking for a continuance today.
Okay. Yes, sir. So I'll see you on March 13th.
Thank you very much. That's all I have. I may be excused.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Mr. Keach? While Mr. Keach is coming up, is anyone in the gallery represented by Mr. Dees? Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure that you got word on Mr. Dees. Okay, yes, sir.
Judge, I actually have 2 inmates. I don't have anyone on your until inmates, so I'll just be back at 1:30.
Okay, or if you want to attend via Zoom, you can do that too.
I may do that. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you. Del Bosque?
Del Bosque, thank
Del
you.
Bosque. Thanks, Ms. Del Bosque.
Good try, Your Honor. Susan
Not
Del
really.
Bosque
Thank
for
you.
Ashley Vasquez, 22 CF 2104. We're just going to the next week, okay, please? We're going to just set it for next week. This should be taken care of by then.
So, plea continue?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Vasquez, that means I'll see you a week from tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Thank you,
That's all I
ma'am.
have.
Ms. Gooden?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
The first one I have on the docket is Sal Lapa, Lapa, 21 CF 3047. We have an executed deferred prosecution agreement. May I approach the clerk?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So, Madam Clerk, we just need to set it for a control date? You got it? Okay. So that'll fall off the docket. Okay.
The next one I have is Z. McClendon, 22 CF 1459. The state and I are asking for a continuance. The problem is I'm not going to be here the month of March. My daughter's getting married in Ireland, so I'm going to be in Ireland for the month of March. Well, a few days in the beginning or a few days in the end. But is there a date in February that we could possibly try and resolve it, or no?
I mean, we can set it for miscellaneous date if that's what you want to do.
AJ?
I have no objection to whatever is easiest for Mrs. Good.
I think we can resolve it,
Okay.
but
So what about if we say the underlying case is continued until May 8th at 9 o'clock, and then if you just schedule a hearing at the end of February, middle of February?
Okay.
If you have a plea agreement.
Okay. Yeah. The same thing is for Mr. Con Nguyen, Nguyen.
Yes, ma'am.
22. I was about to read you the misdemeanor. CF 1199.
Yes, ma'am. It's continued until May 8th also.
And the last one I have is Tyler Scarborough. And I'm gonna have to find the case number again. I'm sorry.
It's 22 CF 418.
418.
Yes, ma'am.
We have deposition scheduled for tomorrow. However, the witness contacted me and said she had a death in the family. I had to be in Chicago. So I'm going to have to ask for a continuance in that so that we can schedule the deposition. And so I'm asking for the May date. If I can, the state is solid, I'm solid, and if we have to try it, it'll have to be in May.
To the state, 2 months ago, I said we were going to trial this month, this cycle.
They added a new witness.
The new witness was added at that time period when we had the other deposition. That's when we found out that there was an additional witness, as a law enforcement witness. I would think the testimony that we're going to get from the witness, it seems like we have a pretty good baseline of what that information is going to be. I wouldn't see that it would be a major issue to keep it on the trial docket for this cycle.
And that the defense could do the deposition before the trial date?
Yes, Judge, I'll make time available for my schedule, and I'll get in contact with the law enforcement witness and try to get something scheduled. If not, we'll discuss it next week at docket day.
Okay, so plea trial, and I'll see you back here next week on Tuesday at 9.
May my client appear by Zoom? He's deployed to Texas.
Any objection?
No, Judge.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have, I believe, Madam Clerk. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Stewart.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, sir.
May it please the court, Your Honor, Brad Stewart, President. I have one out of custody matter. My client's name is Jacob Parker, Judge. This is 22 CF 1111. He has a waiver on file. We have depositions set up for February the 14th. Judge, if we could continue this to the March 13th date.
Yes, sir. It's continued.
Your Honor, I do have one in custody matter. He it's Mr. Hakeem Balagan, Judge. We are set on the 12th for a bond reduction hearing. If that could lighten the load for the courts this afternoon's docket, we can handle that now.
Yes, sir. So you just want to continue the hearing today until January 12th?
Yes, Your Honor, if we may.
Okay, it's continued until January 12th.
Very good. That's all I have before the court, Your Honor. May I be excused?
Yes, sir. Thank
you,
you.
Your Honor.
Judge, may we set this for the cycle?
If you want to, yes, ma'am. Ms. Dudley. Hello, Ms. Dudley. Good morning. Good morning, ma'am.
This is the first case I have with DeMonte Dawson. It's 21 CF 78, 2017 CF 1595, and 20 CF 2270. There's a waiver on file. We're asking for a continuance. We were still waiting on some transcripts. I did get 2 of them last week. I'm waiting on 1 more so we can work on the motion to suppress, and so I can talk to the prosecutor about the case. I got some 1 cycle continuance.
Any objection from the state?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, it's continued 1 cycle.
Is that the 13th of March, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Dudley, is it going to be ready to go to trial after that?
I
Should
should hope
say
so.
trial next time? Okay, so continued trial next time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
The next case I have is Sylvester Jackson. It's 22 CF 2130. Mr. Jackson lives out of state. We have a waiver on file. We just got some depot dates last week, and we got a confirmation on Saturday for the time. So we can just get 1 cycle continuance on that.
It's continued 1 cycle.
The next one I have is Bama Lanian. It's 22 CF 2816. Mr. Lanian lives out of state. Yeah, this is the first time up on the case.
Is she in jail?
He is not. He bonded out, Your Honor.
He is not. Okay, thank you.
It's the first time up on the case. We are still going through discovery. I think there may be some that is missing. that I want to talk to the state about. If we get one cycle continuous on it.
Any objection from the state?
No objection.
It's continued one cycle.
The next one I have is an inmate. Your Honor, I'll appear by Zoom for that this afternoon.
Okay.
That's Mr. Looney. The next one is Gervais McLemore, 21 CF 3225, 22 CF 1164, 22 CF 1881, and 20 CF 3237. Now, there's a waiver on file. We are still waiting on any digital evidence in one of the cases. I have reached out to the state on a couple occasions about that. I may have to file a motion to compel if I can get a one cycle continuous on that.
Yes, ma'am. File your motion. We'll set it for a hearing.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And I believe the last case I have on the docket is Derek Reed. It's 22 CF 96 and 22 CF 654. Your Honor, there's waiver on file for Mr. Reed. In the 22 CF 96 case, we were still waiting on information from the state. The state had mentioned during the phone call to my office that one of the witnesses in another case gave a statement against my client. We do not have an address for that witness. They did not list that witness as a statement witness. I brought that all to the state's attention, and I still have not received that witness's address so I can set a deposition on her. So we can get a continuance on that case. And then in the 22 CF 654, we are still waiting to reset that deposition. We have reached out for dates. We have not got dates back from the state. And I believe that there was a co-defendant that Mr. Stevens has. We're trying to coordinate that deposition.
Okay. It's continued one cycle.
And I believe that is all I have on.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Mr. Powell.
Good morning, Your Honor. Good morning.
Yes, sir.
I'm covering the first case, Your Honor, is for Bo Powell. It's Joshua Little. And first time up, Mr. Bo Powell requested a continuance for one cycle. Case number is 22 CF 2144.
Okay. I don't see that here.
I have it under
I've got it. Okay. It's continued one cycle.
Thank you, Your Honor. That was March the 13th.
Yes, sir.
Next case, Your Honor, is DeAndre Lovelace, and Mr. Bo Powell will probably be taking that over, but at this time, AJ's got appointed on the case, Mr. Gomez, and I would ask that this be continued one more cycle, try to work it out. It's only been continued one time, and that someone covered for me at that time.
Okay, so continued in trial next time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes, sir.
March 13th?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. And I skipped Mr. Catalina. I think it's Mr. Catalina. No. It's hard to read the writing. Yeah, there you go, Mr. Catalina. There were so many loops in there, I thought that I had stripped.
Judge, I'm sorry.
Not a bit.
I'm working on it. Sir. You know, I got a penmanship award when I was in grade school, and I don't know what happened. Judge, the first case that I have, if I may, is Orlando Troy Burley, number 70 on your docket, page 22. Mr. Burley, come forward, please. Your Honor, Mr. Burley came to me today, and he's giving me a witness that I need to speak to, that I need to depose. If the court would allow me one more last continuance on this case, I would greatly appreciate it.
To the state?
We have no objection, Your Honor.
Mr. Burley, so I'm going to say it's continued, but it'll be trial next time, okay? So we'll be looking at going to trial in March. I'll see you back here March 13th.
Your Honor, he has a question.
Yes, sir.
Whenever that incident happened, they never asked me what the identification of that person was.
That's okay. That's okay. Don't bring that up.
Okay.
Just don't bring that up.
Okay. I'll see you back here March 13th. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'll talk to you outside. Your Honor, the next case that I have is Akeem Lovelace, L-O-V-E-L-A-C-E. Your Honor, it's a fairly new case, 22 CT 2394. This is the second pretrial. May I have a continuance? I'm setting depositions. State's asking for incarceration.
Okay, yes, sir, setting depots, it's continued.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Catalano.
Your Honor, may I approach briefly?
Please. Mr. Switek. Good morning, sir.
The first shall be last, and the last shall be first. I've got Jacob Rush. Jacob Rush, could you stand up? Maybe Rush.
Okay. Who are we going to take when we're rating on Mr. Rush?
Draven Settlberg, 22 CF 539. Mr. Settlberg is present.
You want Mr. Rush first?
No, we're going to have to get up here first. Yeah, Mr. Rush.
Okay.
Mr. Rush's case, if we could discuss that a little bit, we're in a perplexing situation.
Yes, sir.
We had a competency evaluation performed, and he was deemed incompetent to proceed. The state did their own, deemed competent to proceed. There is another competency evaluation out there. It's filed in his guardianship case. That is 2022 GA 823. And in the guardianship case, he was deemed by Judge Stone incompetent. So, do we need to get another evaluation, or should we set it for a hearing on competency?
I'm sorry, Mr. Snyder, did you say Judge Stone found him competent or incompetent?
Incompetent.
Okay. If you could send that, a copy of the eval over in the guardianship case, I'll take a look at it and let you know what our next steps will be, at least from our perspective.
Okay.
Okay, so do we want to set it for plea continue?
For what?
For docket day, a week from tomorrow?
Well, we
and
could
do you want to
do
waive
that.
Mr. Rush's appearance?
We could do that, but let's say the state wants to have another evaluation done. I mean, that's not going to happen between here and the 23rd.
I understand, but if they stipulate to him being incompetent to proceed, then what are we going to do? I mean, do we need Mr. Rush here a week from tomorrow in either event, or can we waive his appearance?
I'd wait.
Okay, so if he's found incompetent to proceed, then what's going to happen a week from tomorrow?
That'd be up to the state judge.
Judge, if we stipulate that he's incompetent to proceed, I believe he'd need to be here. However, I need to look at that report in the competency case board to make a decision on that matter.
Okay. So, Mr. Rush, stay in touch with Mr. Switek. Mr. Switek's going to be back here a week from tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Mr. Switek will tell you whether you need to be here a week from tomorrow at 9, okay?
Yes, sir.
So stay in touch with him, and I may see you in a week and a day. If not, Mr. Switek will bring you up to speed. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, Judge, what was that date? Was that the 23rd, you said?
It is January 17th, a week from tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, that's not going to work. I've got a sentencing hearing in federal court.
Okay. You want to do it on January 19th?
I've got Judge Wells first, but I can come straight from there.
Do you want it in the afternoon?
I've got a symphony performance in the afternoon.
Okay, just come after you're finished with Judge Wells on, so it'll be 9 o'clock, January 19th. Will be the docket date. Okay.
Here, you walk out.
All right, we'll take Mr. Sutterberg.
Mr. Sutterberg, come on up.
On Mr. Sutterberg's case, I'd like to set that for a soft plea to the bench.
Okay, has there been an outcome to the evaluation?
Yes.
Okay. Because I don't see that on the docket. I don't see any reports for that.
I'm not going to find it.
But once you raise...
It wasn't a court-ordered evaluation. It was for defense purposes.
Okay. My concern is that I see appellate cases that say once it's been raised in a court, then the court needs to decide. So just be prepared on next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow. And if you want to send me something before that and send the state something that says if the defense is the one that raises it, the court doesn't have to rule on it before it goes forward, but I need some comfort over that. Okay?
And what in particular is the court looking for?
Whether I need to make a determination of competency or not.
It was never a competency evaluation to begin with.
Okay.
Mr. Spytek, is this a psychosexual for mitigation purposes?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. Good. Well, then I don't need that. So, Mr. Sutterberg, I'll see you back here a week from tomorrow at 9 o'clock, okay?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Arla Steele is case number 22 CF 1849.
Okay.
Mr. Steele's case, we had some deponents that were called away or were on leave from the sheriff's office, so we need to get those reset, which the offices are working on. So if we can continue his case.
Yes, sir, it's continued.
Ernest Machino, likewise, that would be a soft plea to the bench on the 19th.
Okay, plea, yes, sir.
And then Taylor Newman, Judge, you had excused his presence, but he was here anyway. I sent him on his way.
Okay.
22 CF 622. And I'm waiting on a written report from Dr. Holmes. An evaluation has been done. It's a mitigation report. It's not a competency issue.
Okay. So what do you wish to do with that case?
Well, no, Dr. Holmes, we might want to put him on in September.
So are you seeking a continuance?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir, it's continued.
I believe that does it for you today.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Mr. Johnson?
Good morning, Judge.
Hello, Mr. Johnson. No, you're Mr. Robinson. Mr. Johnson?
Sid Robinson, I'm sorry, Judge.
Okay.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr.
May it please the Court, Brad Johnson here on behalf of Brian Dean Howard, Your Honor, case number 22 CF 2185. We have depositions set for all day Thursday, this coming Thursday, August 12th, so I'd ask to pass this.
Do we want to say plea continue?
Yes, Your Honor. That'll be fine.
So I'll see you a week from tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
And that concludes my visit with the Court. Your Honor, may I be excused?
Yes, sir. Thanks, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Judge.
Mr. Robinson? I saw that you were on Zoom at about 8:15 this morning.
I forgot I was an hour ahead of you.
I understand. So Mr. Robinson's case is Jaden Marshall, 22 CF 2301.
Yes, Judge Steve Robinson, on behalf of Mr. Marshall, his presence has been waived, Judge. Judge, in this case, I'm seeking a continuance, and I apologize that I did not familiarize myself with the court's rules. But but I'm still waiting on some additional discovery. I haven't received an offer to resolve this, Judge. If you could place me on your March the 13th pretrial, I believe I'll have this case resolved by then.
Okay, any objection from the state?
No objection.
Mr. Marshall, I'll see you back here and you can appear via Zoom if you wish to. If a plea is entered, then I need you here live with your client. But I'll see you back here on March 13th at 9 o'clock.
Yes, Judge, I'll have him in your circuit on March 13th.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Judge. Thanks for your indulgence.
Yes, sir. The Ronald Johnson. Mr. Johnson? Mr. Ronald Johnson, there you go. Good morning, sir.
Judge, I represent Blake Martin at 21 CF 1559. We had our motion hearing in this case in December. We both submitted proposed orders and we're waiting to receive your decision.
Okay, you're saying, okay, tell me what, I took a motion, a criminal motion under advisement?
Yeah, Judge, we had a hearing on a motion to exclude certain testimony filed by the state. That hearing was on December 15th. We got an email from the court later in December asking the state to submit a proposed order. If we couldn't agree, that I submit a red line proposed order, and I have done that, but we have not received a ruling from the court yet.
Okay, if you will, if you'll send me that red line again, I don't know if there was one case that I allegedly received a red line and it didn't have anything that was on it that showed there was a red line. Did the court previously enter the state's order?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Then that may have been a different case. If you'll send me the red line, I don't have anything under advisement that I haven't ruled on, certainly in the criminal realm and maybe one in the civil one. So in the future, if a week goes by and you anybody thinks, any attorney thinks that I've got something that I haven't ruled on, contact my JA, send me an email directly and say, Judge, we're waiting on you, because I want to rule. I mean, I've had a few things that have fallen through the cracks over the years, but not many. I do not like things to be in my court. I like to rule on them. So I apologize for that, but I know that I do not have a proposed red line in my email box. If you'll send it directly to me, not to my JA, then I will rule on that no later than tomorrow. Okay?
Okay, we'll do that, Your Honor. This case is going to be tried. I don't know if we're going to leave it on the trial docket for your next term or if the state needs additional time, but it's not ready to be set for trial.
To the state?
Your Honor, state's motion to exclude certain testimony, this was, as Mr. Johnson mentioned, we heard testimony from Dr. Zeman on this case. However, state's motion also included two other character witnesses that the state sought to exclude. And I didn't see in the proposed language from Ms. Scott any sort of a ruling on those two witnesses, so we would ask that that be addressed before trial.
Okay, did y'all receive, as I grab my notes, did you receive an email from my JA on December 19th? Or shortly after that, did you receive an email that said, Dr. Zeman may not testify about what he believed the defendant's intent or lack of interest was at the time of the election? Y'all received that. So you received my ruling, but you two don't agree on the proposed order, and that's why I'm waiting on the red line, right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure, because again, I didn't know that the ball was still in my court. If you'll get me that, Mr. Johnson, I will finalize it tomorrow.
Okay, I'll get it to you today.
Good.
But what Barrett's been raising, she also wanted to exclude the testimony of 2 character witnesses. And I don't know if that's something you want to pre-try or, but they're just general character witnesses. Most of the people live in Louisiana.
I will rule on any motion that y'all put before me. If you want to, do you want to do plea continue? Do you want, and then try to go to trial on January 23rd and set hearings before that date for any motions you have?
That would
Mr.
work.
Chairman, do you want an evidentiary hearing on the character witnesses also?
I would like a ruling if there needs to be a hearing. Certainly, I'd like to have that before we get to trial.
So you need a motion from Mr. Johnson if he's seeking to exclude somebody?
Your Honor, this was part of the motion that was originally heard before the court, but the information we got from Ms. Spot only addressed Dr. Zeman.
Okay.
Judge, we've listed 3 witnesses, Dr. Zeman and 2 character witnesses, and they filed a motion to exclude all their testimony.
Okay.
We have an evidentiary hearing involving Dr. Zeman.
Gotcha. Okay, so tell me the other 2 witnesses, other than Zeman, that the court needs to rule on.
It is a Mr. Let's see here. I believe it's a Miss Yusi, who is a supervisor of Mr. Martin. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then also, I believe, a Louisiana state attorney to testify as to his character.
Okay. I will go back through my notes, which I have here, and I'll rule on both of those also tomorrow.
Judge, there's been no proffer concerning the testimony of the 2 character witnesses, is that they would testify to his character. They were both known since he was born.
Okay, so you're saying that we need an evidentiary hearing on UC and the Louisiana state attorney?
I don't know if we do or not. I mean, Mr. Barrett filed a motion, and
Judge, perhaps we could leave this P or C for docket day, and then based on your order, we'll decide where to go at docket day from there, if we have any other.
Well, if Mr. Johnson's saying I need to hear evidence on UC and the Louisiana state attorney, then the ball's not in my court to make a decision on that. I've already told you what my decision was regarding Dr. Zeman.
Yes.
You know, again, y'all just tell me what hand I'm playing and I'll play it. But at this point, the only thing I know I've got is that I'm supposed to get a red line on my ruling on Zeman. If you're saying I have all the facts, all the evidence that both of you intend to produce on UC and the Louisiana state attorney, and the ball's in my court, then I'll rule on those. If you're saying there's going to be additional evidence for those, then we need to set it for a hearing.
The state doesn't have any additional evidence as far as those witnesses.
Mr. Johnson, any additional evidence regarding UC and the Louisiana state attorney?
we want to use them as witnesses. And if a state wants the court to hear their testimony for their testimony at trial, then we can set a hearing to determine the admissibility of their character testimony.
Whose motion? It was the state's motion to exclude, right?
There's a state motion to exclude. There is an objection filed in the state senator's motion.
I will, since the state's not seeking any additional evidence being presented, then I'll rule on the state's motion to exclude based upon the evidence that I received at the hearing, at the prior hearing, okay? So I'll rule on all of those tomorrow.
I'll file a response to her motion, and in that motion I stated that they're merely character witnesses. So you can review that. I think that adequately covers the issue.
When did you file your
testimony?
Mr. Johnson, when did you file your response?
May I have a moment, Your Honor?
Okay, I'll just find it. I've got a copy of the state's motion, but I didn't print a copy of your response, but I'll find that.
So what's our next next court date?
Next court date is a week from tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
And may Mr. Martin and I appear by Zoom?
If we're going to, yes, sir, you can, but then you may need to appear live at the jury review, which would be on the 19th. So yes, sir, you can appear via Zoom a week from tomorrow.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Have a good day.
You too.
And just for clarification, we are sending us both subpoenas for trial.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Other private counsel?
James Owens.
Mr. Owens, come on up.
Judge, I have Roderick Brinson. Judge, I have a stipulated motion to withdraw as counsel of record that's been signed by me and Mr. Brinson, and he would like to ask for the services of the public defender. I don't know if I can just hand the clerk this stipulation that was signed today, or if I need.
Yes, sir, if you'll hand it to me. Mr. Brinson, you wish for Mr. Owens to not represent you anymore, correct? Since you've signed it and Mr. Owens has signed it, unless the state has an objection, then the court will grant it.
No objection.
Okay, so, Mr. Owens, your motion to withdraw is granted.
Mr. Brinson, who lives in Montgomery, Alabama, wanted the services of the public defender.
Mr. Brinson, if you'll raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. You can put your hand down. Mr. Brinson, how much money do you make per month?
12.
Okay. I do appoint the public defender to represent you. Mr. Clines is approaching on your left. This is Mr. Brinson.
Yes, Mr. Owens brought me to speak on this before.
Okay.
I did advise him
Good.
of what
Thank you.
our plan was.
So we would ask for a one-sided continuance here, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Brinson, I'll see you back here on March 13th at 9 o'clock. Make sure you stay in touch with Mr. Clines. Thank you, sir.
What case number was this?
22 CF 2137.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Judge, I'm here on behalf of Jeff Tony on Miguel Santa Maria.
Yes, sir.
His appearance has been waived. Depots are set in February. We're asking to continue this case.
Yes, sir. It's continued one second.
March the
13th.
Tony Henderson has two cases. Kevin Powell.
I don't see Powell on the docket.
Kevin Powell.
Do you have a Kevin? Okay, good. What's the case number?
It's already been dismissed, Judge. It should be
Oh,
on the
okay.
docket.
That case has been dismissed.
Apparently, yes, sir.
Michael Gilbert is the second case Tony Henderson has.
If we may go back, I'm not showing that. It's been dismissed.
Kevin Powell.
We filed a no cross last week reserving the right to appeal the motion to suppress.
That's not reflected in the case.
Okay, so you have dismissed Mrs. Powell?
Mr. Kevin Powell, we have filed a dismissal reserving the right to appeal the motion to suppress.
So that case is dismissed with that reservation?
Yes, Judge.
18 CF 2332.
Tony Henderson has Michael Gilbert.
Yes, sir.
Judge, his appearance has been waived, and Mr. Henderson announces ready for trial.
Okay. So then I'll see Mr. Henderson and Mr. Gilbert physically here a week from tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Yes, sir.
I think I was on the silent list and got skipped over somehow. John Maceluck, I'm appearing on behalf of Attorney Joe Mumford on, looks like LeVon Williams, 22 CF 2258.
Number 104 on the docket.
Thank you, ma'am. And I'm sorry, your name is?
John Maceluck.
Thanks, Mr. Mason.
Zoom, if you could please mute your mic.
I think I'm just covering on this. I believe there's been a fall off in communication. There's some problems with the office I'm covering for, I think, as far as staffing over the holiday. And I don't know if y'all have received any offers or made any offers from the state, so I don't want to say.
Judge, we can just set it clear, continue for docket day.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's that?
And I didn't see your name on the list at all. Mr. Mason, just.
Okay, I was
at least one
17
that
on
was
the
in.
list there. I don't know where I was.
Okay. So I'll see.
The 17th, if they're going to have me cover, I'm in 3 different places on that
March
day.
13th.
March 13th?
January 17th, yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just have to find someone else to cover her that day.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So it's plea continue.
Okay.
January 17th at 9.
Okay, is that possible for another attorney or maybe myself to appear via Zoom on that day? If we do have it figured out.
If you mean if you're going to enter a plea?
If someone, whoever's going to be covering, I guess, on that day, if it's me or another attorney. They're down south is the problem, so I think they'd be asking to appear via Zoom.
To the state, you know more as far as discovery, what's going on.
Yeah.
They need to physically be here. Is it going to be, it'll be plea continue, not plea trial, right? They can appear via Zoom.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. We'll
Thank
get
you,
that
sir.
straightened out. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Good morning, Judge.
Mr.
I'm
Nutt.
here on behalf of Douglas Spence. He's incarcerated. First time up, I was just recently appointed.
Okay, are you waiving his appearance since he's?
Yeah, he's in jail. I'll wait, because I spoke to him yesterday.
Okay.
I told him I would be continuing this. I just need one continuous. I'm contemplating setting a deposition. I mean, this is not a extremely complicated case. I think I need to at least depose the sex offender officer at the sheriff's office, because Mr. Spence says he reported to him, so.
Okay, so continued one cycle, and you'll let the jail know that they don't need to bring Mr. Spence via Zoom this afternoon, okay?
Was that scheduled for 1:30?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I'll let them know. If I'd have known that, I wouldn't be here.
Yes, sir.
March 13th, is that?
March 13th at 9, yes, sir. If he's still an inmate, then it'll be in the afternoon.
All right, so that'll be either at 9 or 1:30?
Correct. If he's an inmate, it'll be at 1:30.
All right, thank you, Judge, that's all I have.
Thank you. Yes, sir, Mr. Reed.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, sir.
Judge, I have one case on your docket. It's Mr. Darius Wingate, 22 CF 774. Your Honor, he's currently incarcerated in the Walton County Jail. However, there is a waiver on file for Mr. Wingate. We do waive his appearance.
Yes, sir.
I spoke with Ms. Davis, and I think we're going to leave this set for plea or continue on docket day to see if we can get this last one resolved. He has pending charges over in Walton that he's dealing with as well.
And if it's continued, then it'll be trial next time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Yes, sir. Plea continue, trial next time.
Thank you, Judge. I think that's all I have.
Thank you. Ms. Jacob?
Thank you, Your Honor. If I could just recall my clients. And I do have one, Brendan Carson, 22 CF 1148. He's incarcerated. When I spoke with Mr. Carson, he specifically asked that since we were continuing his case, he not have to be called out for the Zoom court. So if I could continue that to the March 13th docket. The state has a hard drive full of new evidence for me, so.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. It's continued one second.
Then, Your Honor, if I could please recall Ms. Diamond McCoy. Ms. McCoy has reached an agreement with the state. She's going to be pleading no contest as charged, Your Honor. Count 1 will be a withhold of adjudication, 2 years of probation. There is a $40 per month cost of supervision. However, we will be asking the court to waive that. $515 in court costs, $150 cost of defense, 24 hours of community service work. She'll need to complete a shoplifter's awareness course. Restitution will be ordered to Alta in Destin. However, the court will reserve jurisdiction for 90 days to determine the amount, if any. Count 2 is a withhold and 1 year of probation concurrent. And the state will take no action on any failure to appear in exchange for this plea. Your Honor, the reason for the request to waive the cost of supervision, however, she will be transferring to Georgia, so I've explained to her that may not carry over. But in case she does have the restitution to pay, we'd like to waive that as well, as she is pregnant and about to have a child, so she'll be out of work for the next few months at least while she's recovering from that. If I may approach?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. McCoy, if you'll raise your right hand, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you, ma'am. You can put your hand down. Ms. McCoy, did you read the plea agreement?
I did.
Do you understand it?
Yes, sir.
Did you discuss it with your attorney?
Yes, sir.
Did she answer all of your questions?
Yes, sir.
Are you satisfied with the representation?
Yes, sir.
Did you sign the plea agreement?
I did.
Ms. McCoy, I do accept your plea. Adjudication is withheld. You're sentenced to 2 years probation in count 1, 1 year probation in count 2, to run concurrently, run at the same time. All monetary assessments mandated by statute or county ordinance are imposed. That's the court cost. You'll need to pay the $150 public assistance fee. Perform 24 hours of community service work. Enter and successfully complete the shoplifters class. Court does award restitution but reserves jurisdiction to determine the amount of restitution if the state files a motion or a petition within 90 days from today. Ms. McCoy, how much money do you make per month?
About 4,000.
About 4,000? Okay. Then you'll need to pay the $40 per month cost of supervision.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, I think I've got one.
I provided one, sorry.
Thank you.
Your Honor, next I have Kevin McNamara. And I did have my office reach out to Mr. McNamara, who stated he was on his way. However, that was about 11 o'clock, so about 55 minutes ago. I will sound the hallway before I leave, Judge, but at this point I can't represent where Mr. McNamara is.
Okay, what is the state seat?
State request capias, Your Honor.
Capias will be issued for Mr. McNamara, and the first appearance judge will determine the amount of the bond.
Your Honor, next I have James Nesmith. Mr. Nesmith is present and approaching in 22 CF 2693. If we could leave this plea continue on docket day. There's something he asked me to look at that I'm not able to access. I need to get to my computer so I can make the discovery.
Okay. Mr. Nesmith, I'll see you a week from tomorrow at 9 o'clock, okay? Thank you, sir.
Your Honor, the next I have is Marcus Powell in 22 CF 2807. I did sound the vestibule as well as the hallway multiple times looking for Mr. Powell, and I have not seen him today.
Capias will be issued for Mr. Powell, and the first appearance judge will determine the bond.
And as to Ms. Roy, I know we already continued her, Your Honor, but I did send the court an email. I apologize for the informalities of it, but I copied the state of her proof of the COVID.
Oh, good. Thank you, ma'am.
And finally, Your Honor, for this morning, I have Candace Wilson. Ms. Wilson is present and approaching in 22 CF 1769 and 22 CF 1770. She has reached an agreement with the state.
Hello, Ms. Wilson.
The agreement calls for her to plead no contest in 22 CF 1769 and to a lesser included driving while license suspended second offense. In 22 CF 1770, she'll be pleading as charged. In 1769, she'll be adjudicated guilty, sentenced to time served, be assessed $305 in court costs, and a $50 cost of defense. And I put on her 180 days to pay the financials, but I'd asked at the court order that she be allowed to pay that during her supervision in the next case. In 22 CF 1770, it'll be as charged with a withhold of adjudication, 2 years of probation, waived cost of supervision, $515 in court costs, a $150 cost of defense. She needs to complete 25 hours of community service work, and the state will take no action on any failures to appear in exchange for the plea. May I approach?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Ms. Wilson, if you'll raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Wilson, did you read the plea agreement?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand it?
Yes, sir.
Did you discuss it with your attorney?
Yes, sir.
Did she answer all of your questions?
Yes, sir.
Are you satisfied with the representation? Did you sign the plea agreement? Ms. Wilson, I do accept your plea. In 22 CF 1769, you're adjudicated guilty. You're sentenced to credit for time served. That's to the lesser included offense, the misdemeanor. You need to pay the $305 in court costs. You need to pay a total of $250 in public defender's fees for both of the cases. You can pay the financials in this case during your probation in the other case. In 22 CF 1770, adjudication is withheld. You're sentenced to 2 years probation. All monetary assessments mandated by statute or county ordinance are imposed. That's the court cost. You'll also need to perform 25 hours of community service work. Ms. Wilson, how much money do you make per month?
I'm not working right now.
How long have you been unemployed?
Since I had my baby.
So how long is
August.
Okay. I do waive the cost of supervision. Thank you, Ms. Wilson.
Judge, there should be an outstanding warrant for Ms. Wilson. It was served. Okay, why, that's why we didn't get the, because she was served with that one.
Ms. Wilson, can I have the, statute, can I have the statute number for the lesser included?
Yes, may I email it to you? Because I know it's 316, 322 something, but do the second.
322.34, subsection 2B and 1.
Thank you, Ms. Barnes.
Yes, ma'am.
And Your Honor, that's all I have for the morning. If I need to be excused till second.
Thank you.
We have filed a motion
Oh, that's
for
right.
withdrawal from one of my clients that the board is not.
Okay, yes, sir.
Perez. This is Crystal Perez, Madam Clerk, 22 CF 2285. On January 4th, Your Honor, we filed a motion to withdraw based on the representing witness in this case. So we would ask the court to grant the motion if the legal public office.
Ms. Perez, that motion's granted, so the public defender doesn't represent you anymore. The Regional Conflict Counsel, Ms. Jacob, to your right, represents you.
And Your Honor, we'll ask to continue your matter, obviously.
Yes, ma'am. So, Ms. Perez, I'll see you back here on March 13th at 9 o'clock. If you wish to resolve it before that date, then Ms. Jacob can set a hearing before that date. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Any other private counsel that are out there? I don't see any. Teresa, what are your cases in the gallery? Do you
I
have
have just one in the audience with Mr. Klein.
Okay, let's do that. Thank you.
This would be Kenner Moran Salguero. Case number is 22 CF 2731. Your Honor, this is Mr. Moran Salguero. I did talk with him this morning. Mr. Salguero is going to be hiring an immigration attorney to help with the potential fallout here. I would ask the court for one cycle continuance so we can go ahead and make that happen.
Okay. Mr. Salguero, if you're going to hire a private attorney, you need to do it sooner than later so that they can work on your case.
Immigration attorney.
Right. Okay. If you're going to hire an immigration attorney that then would communicate with Mr. Kleins and you and tell you what the outcome or what effect the criminal case would have on your eligibility or deportation, get in contact with that attorney sooner than later. And I'll see you back here on March 13th at 9 o'clock. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Kleins or Mr. McKinney, folks in the gallery?
Your Honor, I have Jacob Kamen. follow, I'll just call alphabetically who I see here.
Good.
Francesca Cousins. Your Honor, this is Jacob Cannon. We were able to finally depose the USAA claims investigator. There is a PTI offer from the state. I would like to leave Mr. Cannon's case on for next Tuesday to see if we can get a chance to go over the terms. We have not received the paperwork yet. But that's where we're at. Mr. Cannon would like to review the deposition that we took. The case essentially is ready for trial. I don't really necessarily want to say clear trial because I've got a week to try to get him to listen to these depositions, and I don't want to commit myself to that. But we could leave him on for clear trial or continue.
Well, the state needs to know whether to issue subpoenas, and you're saying not.
Then I think the smart thing to do would be clear continue. But I don't want to just kick it 2 months down the road if we can possibly resolve it next week.
Mr. Kamen, so I'll see you back here a week from tomorrow at 9 o'clock. If it's not resolved then we'll be going to trial in March. Okay? Thank you. So I've got trial next time.
I'll give it to you last week. Okay. Yeah, once I'll take about the depositions. Okay. All right. Francesca Cousins. She's here, Your Honor. I've seen her all day.
Okay.
Brooke Davis. Mr. Davis is present and approaching, and it'll be Michelle Kaloa.
Ms. Glow, if you'll come to the bar, you'll just stand in the aisle, that'd be great. Come on up, Ms. Davis.
Your Honor, this is Brooke Davis. I would like to leave her on for plea or continue for next Tuesday. I did get a phone number for her, and we'll be talking to her this week. I do need to look into something that she's indicated happened here. So.
Okay. Ms. Davis, I'll see you a week from tomorrow at 9. Thank you, ma'am.
Your Honor, this is Michelle Gloa. May we approach briefly on this, Gloa?
Yes,